citizens' power. Citizen TV, the 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 citizens' power.
That. So the NDC government actually tried to revive these banks by giving them funds to stay afloat. But these banks tried and...
Citizen TV, the citizens' power. Citizen TV, the citizens' power. Citizen TV, the citizens' power. Citizen TV, the citizens' power.
Acessível.
Citizen TV, the citizens' power. Citizen TV, the citizens' power.
Some of my I bring up very young and some chiamo. I, my film pa, but it is so be I'm a mamma quaba strongco, edit by citizen television. So, my this year, Nana whom mini ya gaga, hey, na papa. Ache mafia, ay, nana show boy, nana gaga, nana pray my Addo calipo, and then they will say, or they hear the nation address, I also the Bible some ye. Nano who mini ya, ne be behind you. Ye Baba Junjun, who na nation address, at some possible ben or becca. It's not a ministers, Nakasa, no Mubecas, and ministers, where they can't pamu in a few. And see a babusa say, and come on, Ben, no honum, a cow near Babeka. Or because our economy now said that and I said 24-hour economy now dear ban and no Becca Safa. And see Minia, wa de papa di be wa ukro mu ni o ache mafia ene wo so de the nation address eba na wa wo sha ensem pote ben na eno kra so fa so kra ne sen
o de mo me hwe no empenifo bi bo bi se uni kontomponi fudua mane ni kanfo
wa nka so ani chio o se economy ya wa ni doso amaye yo she nkrofo suesu enti asem be pa no obeka
oh se na kwa se omu di nsem bebra babonte 24 hour economy ni ade nsem bebra babonte enti no me hwa a obebo ne tofa e de amayen die MPP fo bedi so ni omo beye ni ade enti o da mo
na ya e wan kasa de yesterday omu aba o so ma o edma do ma bebo bia maye yan kasa wa hwefri SHS o de ba ye hwe se de wasi amankura yi e tueke wo Instagram ene kane na nkankura tue school fees a enko benya phone nimpo wa hefa no mu de atweke wo Instagram ena akura no wasi show what mommy give to you no o sheki ene ade eno hu no be kasa afa na
se obi wo school no tweke ani nyina na ya papa ne fault
no ne fault wa
na na do fault
na aba mu na aduro esa se so odi free stations obi ayi 40 wenya school na wabusa se sa nipa papa be na okwa gohua so ati ase enti sa na ma we mu eno hu no be kasa afa because me dwen ho amenti ase
ne senti ana yese de mumma ye hwe no ne entie ne ode ba
enti wo papa ye ba wenya bibi de
oh untimi nkasa wunya hwe
me de me nya ahwe mum
me momu de dum so nti no me hu ne sa na na ado eno nko akeke no
ena me be adwa wa huduku na etimi timi chema ko panyi
dum so
futro pa wa me kwan so enti nyina wa hu
amugusu ye
ewe hen
amugusu ye
ewe hen
o na nsa machine sigu akwan so
ye adanko da ade
mini abna mma yentie na na ado
oh me de
ni hwade ni hwade wode ma
odi be mi oni hwia obeka ana hwefo amebo ana o se be da ye ni case ai ye ni case kura enti mo de onim se be ya ye be hu de obeka no me de economy nko ho asem na me de ehia me sesi a e wo so be kasa fa economy no ho na me bu se so be kasa fa ho krampa obetimi de nsachare bia ba mu ana ade na asesi atonso mu o so okoro ni metwa o ade na tonso mti de na obeka sa fa ho
unse enema ni bi wo ho a emye mpanifo na ngasa no omu nhede ni mu hwe ebi ti sa kwan ya sema wu kan na adu betimi de sa kwan no ye wo bi a pani a ye de akwan ne sa contract na hye nensa nti wo de amomi ahwe de na wa man
oh maame me de me kra ma sa atitini hu ye so obeja na chi amaba omia
enya no kre
enya ga na yi be di yesu Judas na ebe di yesu enya no kre de enya ye be hwe
enna na ye be hu
enya ma sa se kra bo se ba omia so kra sa be present na na de be sa advice enya ga
enya no kre ni nyambna
me de be te wa ga na ne wo no
enya no kre ni nyinam ne be ne
Mr. Kasi be see ahwe wo parliament
ni nyina ebe hu ne ne
ye be papa
ni nyina ebe hu ne
e tiadofo be jibi se obi ya alert obi e betie papa na num asem na papa no onye steady o because address no de maye no so wanye de se na so kwaye de fata de obenje woto yes enti o make sure say mo ma no ho ma sa no ho ba asem pa na se be to me abena so a misi menyu ni bia anhwa ne ko no mpo so no na kasa ko te Ghana say se mo amohu what na se hwe empanyimfo anu obu omubu man wentimi ansake wo mu election year mu all of a sudden wentimi ansake wo mu one by one se ne san hunti
abla mintwa no meti nsembi be asam na meti ya he bia nya nokore kunzi asena na ado ankaze fi so wo ba power Ghana watana 2 weeks
and it is true. Why? Occasion 2 weeks since we better na ho say occasion hin sempa no na nado
2 weeks
enti sa ni pa we ya to aba ma se bebu man be di yeso be ye de adwum even say de class prefect kwa ma wa yeso die kese pa na de a hye wonsa
sa 2 weeks internet memufo mo mfa hu se wo MP bi ba wo mpeso a bebi a wo ye adwuma na obedwa banche wo se mo hu ni say election intia
ni e ton sama mo
se So when people back market, now we da bank no be dwa bi mawa. E we say who say after election who ni biem.
Me see enna.
Oh,
enna me pon adwuma ameko. Kaswa commando. Kumsin. Kaswa commando. We who say kwan na nye enti wafa water tank. Enna spray kwan no so.
Na say mo de here.
Wo ye de na e coat. Coat. Wafa ade na what we no onye o. Eni wo spray ho. Wo de mumia mo hwi na eja ye nkotie. Na ye ba ye be san nwunu no. Pepepepepe. Se de esi.
Mr. President, State of the Nation address guard of honor mounted by the Ghana Army. 3 officers, 96 rank and file, with the Ghana Armed Forces Central Bank in attendance, ready for inspection. Mr. Ivan Onim-Peru Amperu reported, Mr. President.
tie ai ye tie di owo ma ye ye hwese di owo ma ye na to asum a eja Ghana de ye nyina ye pe o man ne nkoso enti se na adwen asesa
obetete ne ma
so ebi ana yi labi mu akasa mu ni mu ebi kwa no be ye
mebi mu amaye taka
hodo iba ti ni ebi ko be yi ni
ya na esu ya no be yi ni mebi ebi na amaye
so sa be ka campaign de o be
May I have your permission to carry on, Mr. President?
His President Akuffo Addo making his way to the floor of Parliament.
Aha, inti hu pompon so ana no mu de be yo. Ya we de me mpa ibo me de. Ai te se Ghana na ya Ghana kwa koshia Egypt. Mpa ibo na wo se mu ye de.
Na me bo se ma pa yikura onda.
Ye wodan kam se hia be ka kwahwe no ho. Hia ka kwahwe no ho.
Wonder.
Wo be hu ana afa eya ya twura ma ne so o me ka be so no o te akire ne woda. Na ka se be sia kwa brim no ho no mo. Inti ne wo na awukro mu no na awo fa. Inti ne ma mpa ibo mu ye ne se bro na be start wo so. Na ne sa ka wo no. Eti adofo enche no de nanum asem no ba. Eti ye nyina wo se ye hye ye ho den. Esi ansa anhwa e bia na ye bete de ya. Anhwa no wantimi anhya wo ho so. Ebi so ane ye bete de de e bia na anigye mu so so tuma kwa ye bibi. Esi ansa ye so ubufu a enkasa ena wani ju so bro so a enkohyebo so atire me kana se. Enkokasa e bia oba obeka se oba wayi tax na afi ho no ma no afre oge. Abna ye se yi tax ntie na de me no meto we ya ma. Ebi kura na enya no kura wa kwose boche
na o ketro bi se de obeka bia no yen hye ye ho so na wo betimi ahye ho so
oh maybe de betimi ahye me ho so kakra maybe de me hye me ho so bebre kakra bi e che so ye den a obeje ai sa na de ne be bi da no amfa nto ho no me den efito enti enyina mpaye ene e bo se na hye de e yo man ni nyina o address no de be e me no mienu nti eno de bai san se mi no mienu ni ho no ma ontimi mu abo amosia no enka se obeka nanum asema den a kire ye enti wo se enya bre emre na ehuyia e bia wo de betimi apiem ai ade a wa hwe ni mu acha se bia wo hwe aban ni mu se enko ba abaye no e bia na Nyankopon aye wadom na nsa akokan wo de e bi susu na de wo hwe na ho akobosa enti ni nyina ye nema mienu na ya asesi a wankasa wadwen ye fa ho chese ususue ne se die na wunya na nka
fucho kakra me de ma ye ntimi amfo nse de na na de bebe bia no se anko side aya na abotre
akana na se wankasa wo ese se die na abenya free ne ho
oh me mo de me expect se bia se de Yesu ye Ghana Yesu onye se yes me expect se bia oba be kasa e bia fu e kra no me mateso from and then manusia aircon matiso taxis ni bi wo ho a because me am nwanwa say ba wo mia e MPP ni wo papa na Akuffo Addo na se ba wo me atimi ba bonten be ka se me be di so a meyi tax free ho meyi yile meyi o kika kanye me bia na ado de ba
sa
na nti mu MPP for mu ya we sa ade na mo de aba no enye
that is it sentina debi o ade no o sentina ye ka se ono na ado se de ekwoso nyina wate enso later ono asa abeje on masa aka se ona ne ba ewo mu se de ne ba ne be kan wan anye den wan kan ye enti no matter what so den o support no that means I trap no matter omo bedi ya adwen ho agoro
na se obi ka se mi se ba o me ayi na ado ama me no kore
na dem se me fani Judas
no kore kire se me papa ahemra wo fie na me ba be ka se me papa ni hɔ a emra nso me ni anu nyina na
that is it
na ma metimi afetira be ka se me papa ni hɔ a emra we be free wa
sa emra bebre we nyina wo papa ni hɔ no wo na wo tene na ase wo na wo hye ne mpaboa na ade ye neme ehun se fata enti se wo gidi se nema na nya ne nta wa ntu ne fo hɔ no
captain be ka asem bi emri bi wo se ba wo mia ana ema na ado adwen bone
Safi what
you ono na wo ma no yese asa o kire ne meni so
let us see at you
no ne mena so no abeye ne ye
nanka
na so ba san so enye
na o se na kasa wanyini enso se ne pebia onya na wa adwen da no nkora adwen o enti de ne ba ne be kasa wonye no hu se bia ne ba no ope o ma ni ye enso no onim so obo na bro
edi sa wo so wo ba wo beyi na ado mra ne ne niema bi odigu a wo beyi efiri kwa ye no foforo dia
na se wa kasa papa no kora wu mu no
na ye ka obi o twatro Ghana ye ba omi a
ono a and the nation Judas ono a
na me na nte he de papa ye wode man
papa de ne nyankopon ma me ma o hyeden ai nyankopon emmo wa kukudro
trese eni yokodro honhom
eni yokodro
enna honhom ye twem
me de me twem
eni ha honhom ye twem
bi no ana be se de benya bi aka
ye mobo wo Ghana
so ati ase Ghana de ye mobo ba empire na me bo se obenya sa ideas wo benya humobro bi enetima bi ede amaye hwe opon papa ya wo ye nyina he me to me no hu enyema wo de ma ye fa ne se dinosaur no it doesn't make sense to me
na ka said edan ya wo mo se matoma ne kema come fine o mo se ntumi nya bibi kase ye wa chance so sa wo Ghana e betimi solve problem
na aka ne sa
betimi solve problem kakara
sa wo papa ya wo papa ya at least sa dan car na de man enye normal dan car o that means edim because wo mfa ade tra nkwoche sa
na say woman bi one ne ba eku adan ya ne ba ne say o SSO ne maame ne say efis akola ni ko school on fa report card me fie da ne terminal report bi me fie da etina na akola no ohwe ana ototwene akwanze ma me ko akura enye exam se da
it's true na say ya ma akura terminal report
me busa ans na me minim so aboa ti me no
report card
me pass amuntin me say da e di akura na chi ko ni school
ya ma report card
si eko busa teacher ni say brebe ne twato amo mo ye exam so also for the past 1 year ni exam so ana me say dan asima papa ne teacher ni ba ko ka kire me say A4 sheet mo be print exam se for dia mankwala
ebi ni ho so wo ye free education
say afa no maka kire nkwala ni say ye bia school bia na wo bo bia to bundle A4 sheet bundle femra
say the be
exams it is all dan na samwa ka ni fie wo entime to A4 sheet ya A4 sheet
no we wa send dia men asa be ka bullshit
aka kire yen say ye dwuma ye na so hu ko ni ye nyam
obeka bullshit
minim say otonuma Ghana etimi kwaji kuru wa abade
etiene sanye man kitin we nyina na wo say na etimi ba wutrim na obeka sa hwe media me problem ni say sa school as a aspect I was in any course enkwara no omo an future leaders
ana afenso no free education no dia ba no e good me de bia meka minim fie bi mu we kurom enye na ado a ka graduate common SS kwanke bi mpie fie mu da omo wie je SS no mo wi ho kire nti tina na ado ntina ma at least on kwala no bia awie school nti omo so menye mfa ne se nya bibi a chance but at least on betimi akan atno etimi anu kwa de me bo na baso ho bank offer bibi number bi nto ho se akola wi up to 2025 ekwa wunye school
That is it. Nti a man kura no one kasa nti ya na omusua na me
52 for the school.
Ya he say on social media. SS phone kura na age so afa.
And
ya kese.
Na me ko bi life so wo TikTok. Life SS ni akola wo life. Hey, na SS ni to me call life. I was social media assistant. Na brebe na di ko di be ko prep akosua oh erade.
Ena enu akran
bo mo nyina yo mo 52
enu akran bo so de ye su ye nkola no wonim komo a mahama kra so sa de bebe m also no so ba from SHS to tertiary free wifi
ni akosie
no
na me wie o ma me wifi na me di sua de awie na me wie school na se me anya dwuma anya na mfa so be na wo
de bi busa ho se SS ni no ye ma ne wifi mpo o sua de
SS4 ka ho free wifi and a TikTok live for the on be ko kire say me na metimi ko ho obi ya TikTok metimi gina so di mi say ai SS Ukuffo ya TikTok live e was school
enti wa busa ho say ade papa be na akwa no kwa kosua so ho enti to be frank sa ne ma we mu nyina ye sha aban ni mu say o che say obesity face kura kita yam no de ko su kura no de tete nitishani
bro nya ya ko de SS4 ba ebi bo muti ebi hihye omo nsa ebi bubbo mo hwen ya bio
na
ade bedi bro nya ntisa akula we wo school ma de no osua
akura no yi 60 na ode anya school enti papa be na o ha okosua fashion okosua fashion mi hu obi ma ni papa na ka chem say sister me ma anko school say mi school say mi kosua life bo
obi timi ka say ma anko bi ananye ino mo de na do senka asemi obeken o de ka hu say uyi e bia 25-30 kwa unye school up to
because say ama school
akwala no esua de
ama school aye
ana say say anso what the wa set teachers for say ye mo akwala ye repeat akwala wo school na ka wa he osu no SS mutimi e school for nketo mutimi bu obi mani wu e school ni o
ye te ho hwe wo
school ni mutimi bu obi mani wu kire say discipline ni school mu hon ade o man na mu na nka say mpanifo na nka na omo ano mu discipline bi e
na say mpanifo na nka so mu
omo twa mo ho ko na nka parliament house na say obi timi
to chede
omo nka sa no mo
discipline ni hon mo that is it
na nanu betimi anasa aban ni betimi ahye teachers for some discipline
na dey so de esi ka no so hwe na wa bra de esi for me ama betena so ama wate me amebu man ni kama ye hwe wanim se odi eniema ese fata eniema ebeboa wo man no enu ho asem ne ye hwe wanim so ba ba keka ho odi face ka asem bi am sense ka na nka asem se was kwando no madi awie madi amanasa anti ka asem kwa de ni na so ana ye nche na de mo paki gu na mo de be campaign no
sofu penny wajagraja ebe kan se o se cheda o se onu say abana dio president do betimi edibi ba enye neidi enye 2024 na so be disu dia yewu
association but
be disu so dia yewu kire se emre pe be gugu akwem shebe ye fine pa man
ti o enye se ye yewu o empanyimfo ne na ewu na ye mo ye to se ye bre deda
no say de omo kana sem no ba so na udi agranka use kunkro be kun o
that is
lo be jeli
enu so ne ehia no na de hwehwe imagine say se ma kwan e ma even Kennedy krambo be di yeso a enke betima sane mamu kakra Kennedy to aya petri o na no hano onu security bia obeyie pie
na me freduma ba me hu school ni bi so mu school atale no e wawo no mutimi peda kosoro no mo de bet na boso no memia na tare na dom ha timi hu ya na me se school atanse ya na tose anti e wa me se wa mpa me show ma na si ne ya me se
na wenyi na kokomo onu okwo school so okope mema ni bio
sa na phone e kura pala no
onsuma na ado se na ado fa ni ko school
odi ko school no phone
she me hu free SHS no de bae no se de na wo ka no eye
so discipline
de ntia me ka se enye ne se first no ka ne tetemre na enye free SHS no wa wani tua se o ma mi tete ni mo wurem ena de wo ko
na nyina me ka se me makwan ba beton je ni na je na wura bat se me ba me beton je ni na se ma me anya school fees na ma no vat enfan se 1000 na me de kwa
na school fees ni wo obenya ska na da kotofo
na se de bi o jimia bi ye wura de ma me de ton je na de ma me o
na be shia akura bi ka ebu ni ma me ka chen se geography no chemu miensa o se ma yesi mi ntojuo Ewi amento gra matofina soso.
Ba hwia de.
Se wa no se school ni dey ayetan yo.
Ayetan. E yan se mpanifo no bi no ne bakọ bio.
They don't have facilities.
Okay.
On say what boa ho say u si free SHS. A very good idea. E boa ehiafo no. Sebe. But I was saying can make sure say facility ni very good.
And education background say very good. Yeah, start say a grade maybe from 6 to 25. We are free from 25 we going but school fees. Na a support see omo a wo dey hwe wo mo no. Se wo hu.
E na aside that nkwampo ebi ho na do school dem a school kra ne broso. School bi ho na class wo kwa do a common ceiling fan kwa bi ni ho. E show enti sa ne mani nya na wo sen ko di kan plan. Hwe ye wo asase ahodo bebre wo ha ko betimi a build schools. Se na make no ati ase facilities wo de hwe na no video ye call viral. School dan ye bu na student ankasa na esi omu school dan. Enti wo sa school ni we na ankasa no onu on pay school na kwadada ba wanya wo si ekosi dan na enya ye kwa kosi dan ni bi. Onya nso koshia de bi o.
Story bi ameti akwala bi na owo village na oyi 6 ones obo A111 JHS squad yanka na A1111 to oyi 6 ano de ba SS no onhu light da omu di bobo ene gentia ana esua de ana odi yi 111 onya school okrom akra no ba to ba ne first day do school morning same e do enwumre light shine wo adi we da omo say ene de be sua de when ene be sua de osia na bobo kro na mi says anyway mebubu machine
obebubu na mpa
ayareho
obebubu na mpa enti de
bala we bu hu se okura dwen bi a wodi be school
enti sa niam we munya na wo se aban no se de bia me ka se in this era in this computer world there's some villages wo hokro omuni light
now me say ye prostate cheni bi ko baby o si krom wo fon kwalanti asamo agandi da and I'm say adamu ni ready o si man rebel you asam omuni light
election get this kind of
yo say election this kind of to then yes you pin ma afiun face kan to election no say si ya say dia wa hia no eno ho na ye be hwe ne dia vote ama oba Judas ama Judas so aba power enti wa kasa cheke
nyame se ye nka o man ne de ka se koyi ne ye boa
wo ma go fu finish nya ko ma ya ase
because skeni wi ase be ma ya chepa wontimi ni because be ma de wayi
ya ne yes so eye ne ma yes o
sa ma me ase ma wo ken voice ya na masi na me bo kem obi say o se madam no kro say the brand ye madam no kro timi say wo fu how mu
she na no me ni producer na eba producer TK me ni nyara na eba man bi wo hu chese wadwenia manyame nko ankaka ebo no o chika o na busa hu se senkeye main road so na say highway no na ma nka de na nke besi eni se producer bo aben ni tiri ni yemu se na nyame nko akwa de ka ne ko she gata mu no hu na TK okwa no busa na boss ade o se nye easy o
nye easy
se me pona me kofia efie nyo
amu gana fo amu refi se nkruma ka se yensa ye chibie ne kuye ni mu an mu refi ana
it's not easy o enkwafo pass through things o enkwafo fanie mamu pa enti ya sra nana na de mesre o na ene pa ho pa de na se de me pe no anya ma me de a ene me de sre de beto nchei because even yes osro ahine ni kwa we take it by force ena de ade wonu nu odie enye de kwamode no sika na ya ankasa ye de yes ya sika na se hwe so maye faye njapade egu ye ho se be ya daachi nchirima ne ba omusu betimi enya bibia ye na ye bo mpa ye se o kasem ka be kas se si aye ba ye tinya creative jobs se ntia na ye de so de kwa akotwa obi amenkwa adwuma eno de e betinya relax ye body ni kakra so ate ase because si a stress na doso mo amonye kwan mo amonfa light nkonkuro so light so aye so aye wobi no so kakra bi amose age ya ade ndese ye tika no mo de ye den uncreate adwuma wonya kwan isuo light ndese ye sika na ankasa na de na wo de ye ye ka se bunkonta pa enkonta na abebu na ankasa de na abenya aka wo nana enti we de wo nkwaso ai ye kura wo na mu kotodwem sa wo ye na na edi achim afia ai achim commando ye srew sa we de kasa na wo de ba no ma ye ka se betimi adwojo yakoma na se di nkrofo esi speed no se okoto bomb we be blast wo hankasa wo hono ma mu nse yes
Etisika so ekom de
so wa de hwe na asem o kan ye on se wo ma power wo se ye tisika so enso komo de sa to wo ka se tisika so enso komo de na wo di e bia na di 20 cedis so ene ya wa kanyam so no kwesa sa 20 cedis na wu manage ene 20 cedis betimi adi mbo 2 days
dabai
20 cedis
ene
I like 20 betimi adi in seconds and so first 20 cedis betimi adi in be 2 days sina make an what ya say enti na oba ya o se ye tisika so enso kom ye busa sa de sika na yela
aban bakọ na Akuffo Addo aban die edi twam
o man de wabu ni yo
awujire ni
wabu ni ye kama me ade ya na ha me ne sem enti Akuffo Addo ya na onhu se enkrofo ti bebi o mu hu chiri wo mu debi me se o ka che me se yambusa de na dai na samoa ya me MPP ante Akuffo Addo timi edi fie ne ka eche no dana samoa pe de MPP ni MPP echi ana
kai ni efie ni ha abna pa
seriously and I didn't quite have me say as a evangelist on squad and chen when to be a nyame so adwuma who will be that it is kafa kwache ni ehu sa wo so de aya adoye but what sa GP so we mu cry enti wo de ye dey
me kai se Akuffo mreso na ye che free education by set time na GHS ni primary ni ye che school atale nyina ka ho sa time na che school atale
yes
ene ye ni ho ne no ko village pa na fa kole bi atale ye pa
me sinu to mi na pa oh me se na no kwa pere mi wo do village and na no aso fa en kan ha ya o aso fa akura bi uniform na tete ama ya se twa atale efi atale ye da tale ni uniform ne to
so fast na mo cheche school uniform na de ma ye say free nti che say bibi ya mo provide school uniforms ni
enne enuane ne krampo na aban di kogu school mu no ye fa enuane pa ban di kogu fie ni atotu jumi abre wo mu
be unim de bia me kan say aban ni ye kan aban adi bo aban ni mu hu hio
so na ade ho aba
covid ne bai mu ho no mo no me kwasra me nua ba ko wo school because na school no me mpese me bo school ni na teacher ni o head school no headmaster na ye call o se madam hello madam debi hand sanitizer 200 abefa kwa un face cam debi
enso ade abre
ana me say me did ho santi ye mo pronsu na me say
now they also
hand sanitizer wo say hand sanitizer buy say every day bia ye makwala aba
wo say hand sanitizer me si me jira school bi animu say e na aban di aduane ne baaye me wo ho na headmaster ne bae e no frame matron no e ka chen say o de we na ba fa wani kogu na fa ba akone bra
ultimu say
o de perfume rice aba o be senyi perfume rice abaji tujimi e na aba begu ho
na say hand sanitizer make na every day be o say school ni nya ba akon o me yen say every week bia na kura na nya ba e so nya fine o mo say nya de bia chance bia na che so o mo to enti ade bu ho ya aban
yan kasa so ye ko ye ho
aban
yan kasa ye ko ye ho aban de enti ya na de infumso ni nyina kwa aban ne so ne say aban enko wasade ni say ubeyi nkrofo no ma kwa excursion to excursion o ma hwehwehwe adwuma na ade hye nkrofo nsa ne ye di so de wo se future leaders eye nkrofo bi a ye mfo mu ni agro enti nka school fo de e wo se wo ma wani ede e kɔ wo mu hu enka ibenya kwa nka school bia wo so onya hospital go Shananse hwese because of eziat school for nkure
ewu
enti imagine say nka school ni wo clinic nka nkura ne be wuwu ana
what do you wo na normal one nkura no ene ma hin na wo ho na mo school
oba yo say free insurance health insurance say free na ya free there
oh fine mama ka baby me hu ne say ne mebu ho afa aban ni mu ho hwe say the me kan ebi aban ebu aban ni hospital bi o me area o yale apara kwa mba twena ma doctor wo hospital ho no doctor na bie pharmacy ene ne bo hompo ni nyina hospital ne kala akora ne paint kala ni bi no da paint ne pharmacy no
yes
ba o pedro a ebi ni ho be o otimi so sunu ni na da kwagu
ne o de wa memra mu kakra abani nim ho hwe onte de ekoso anamo be no watu sesi awo eba wo na wo ya aban no sa wo ya na wo ya aban na me na me di bone ye momidi o
anything na Kennedy me bi ode beto abonte say face the country na mo ka ne yansu yan fix your character
enti wo aban de na wo so ya afa ho hwe ya na ye ka papa yankopon fa ne kransie Rollins happen
hey
so what did they
aban no guy
that is it
urade
enti me nyete se wo no
me satality etia na se papa hu me Lawrence bless anka we bechi what on ya do na ba kwa twede ba
ya bomu ma and it is true na ekwaso pa ade we na ekwaso because enne se wo hwe dressing bi kura nkrofo de na mabonten a eya na asefem se enra mpo se na 3 days o Saturday no me ba adwuma na lady bi etu egu lady echinya to ketu oya no san she dross no she fitting na ni ejai
ene de no ne nyanko
e di ohuru se ne enkrofo da be de se na ado ba me na kire se ye de ja prenso a nkasa address we ntimi nye ba ye hu ni se odi ye freedom amaye because say e democracy
sa freedom of speech na ba ni say abe shuru ye mbebre na nka collect mi gina penien di amanfo atem freedom of speech
that is it enti de ye tira aban na sa nyama we nyina hu hia ye onye because see a problem ne ba wo mom na wo face problem no enye de onu adi ne bone eno obi ko ha say ukọ shop miensa ekoto ade ba ku a sa shop miensa na eto aso no ade ne price nya ba ko da
ene de yo mo price ene de yo mo
a me cho say
avem bone na abro ne de to o ma mu hanim say
ye wi de abesa
obi wa ka kiro say
aban na amemu aye
da bi opa top enko opa ko nhie ntu beto
so ahu se na no me pa de me ko shop we omunya ato so shop and nine esno bia ne price enti na I was just standing there muzamu say eh ade ne yakasa kwa ye di ye ho abro saa esan san panifo na mo waso makasa ya abudifo no ntini ye bibia ne ye de hye wo mu en ebe affect ya ankasa enti na na ya srew tete so na Ghana fo hu sesesi ya de wa ban ne mu saa mre kakra ya aka wo sesa bibia wo sesa ahwe
your short memory ntini yenkai
mre kakra ya abe
mre kakra be da sesa ne ma Ghana de your short memory
that is it here de ka
sesa ne mahama kan me ne bi
and it is true your short memory so ampa enti saa mre kakra we ya aka wo betimi dia sesa ne ma wa na wo jitu mu na wo place you orders wa wo sesa na wa na wo kan kura sama kan so won enti dia na betimi aya fa ho enti ya empai bo pa ne ye bo se na na ba obey o metu ayampia bia ho no mededa e mehwan kro mu bia ngu nipa so na eja
enti abusua mu menkotie ye papa imra na chese ye nkwo hwe de wonde mayen
so yesi ase ye nyina ye hwe na ye hu de wonde mayen ya ye be hu se ye ne papa mu o se ye ne boni mu an ye nyina de ni be wa kohwe bi na eja ye hu se wo de o ma no afa ne saa se wo de ama emo abemu ebi ana esi shape so ai wa shape no ebi ana eba smart ase enti ma hwe hamo enti ebenya abotre ni etie eye nana nanum asem no ode ba no se ebeboa o man yo se moa o man yo eto jo no akasa ni nya nkopon esan se ye de ekoso ye nim de ekoso ye de enim ane so o man nim ayede ba ebi ana bibi pot wo honum ti a ama o man nim ayede ama na yede ba saa ni covid ni nto kwasem na esisi wo Ukraine ni Russia ni onyin film because you see I say no dey and do dey make excuse keke na Ghana for ye okoji amando do bibia ye pese ye pay excuse o hwa ya saa na me ye Akuffo Addo dey fa so ka say na ama o man man do hwa ye no kredie
oh sa esizi niema e broke niema bi ti say anwa na eba eso teni ade ntino eno so betimi aka ho bi
ba sisi ase Ukraine war no say to ontwai o se de
they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government.
I can't remember it once.
Oh, and you know, correct.
Half what yes.
Me and I'm off.
What they throw be a throw and issue. So, I say, COVID nearby, you know, and it's how Ukraine war, no, and I'm more money more thing. On I am economy, na den barry. One say, yea, one say, on mine be as $1 no cost or mine more thing. And now, why her baby and say $1 do. Timmy furnish.
I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword.
Ba umia de na okan no, me de okan no wa. Nti e betie no wa. Na atwam akọ.
Vice President say mo kan.
Dabi. Onu amukura say wo problem e wo onu a ne kasa ni nipadua mu.
Problem be.
Na ye ka obi a otwatro Ghana. Nye ba umia. Ana anyo onu ne ye kana zabi.
Me de minim.
Se wo po obi otwatro e wo Ghana pa. Wi ba mu afi wa enyeye.
Me ne matuma fo nyina fa se ma kan ona
wo obi afi mi na me ye. Mi na me ka. Oboy sikisi. Ba umia ayi ni papa kurama
kan yen ka ho.
Wa yi ni papa kurama.
Ede papa no ai.
Anya Akuffo na de bai.
Ai.
Wo se Akuffo de 11 wo be dai. Obetwam. Wasi ne vat na ode to electricity no obetwam. Enkrai bet ya wo be to so obetwam.
Ba say economic omo won no check economy ni team na no o kan.
All way leader. as you say what is happening in Oba or no bow or the ultimate or bad overcome. Is that okay? I say, oh, honey, big wing. No bad, yeah, cry because so what the one to make him one. The bell of a bad overcome. Some 87 near maybe I was on your main president. Or see, we crowd better so about 50. Hey, minister. So on your main president, if you honestly should do no. Gasha cross when you be overcome. Gasha. I was all about Quabia and Wigma. And I said, MP's now no man. Oh, Etibao, dear, no crano, and you Tinasam, Mimpe, Festival, Binamica, you fiasem. Baumia dear no cano, middle cano wa. Into Betty wa. Nature Marco. Ah, Vice President, some more can Debbie. What one could say, what problem? Oh, one the casa in the bedroom problem, baby. Now, you can't be a chatro Ghana. Yabaumia, and I want to Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that I stated in 2014
the Ghana cedi has obtained the dubious distinction of being the weakest performing currency in Africa at this point in time. Interestingly, the NDC Green Book claims exchange rate stability as one of their unprecedented achievements. In an open economy,
na onim mete wa na ase bi be si meeting me busa son say nana bai wa betena so 8 years so wa wani tua bosh all ba so bosh be brain no de ba yo wa be hye bosha kese bosha hodro uri afi kwa bo say obi ma ne kalipo nipa no kwoto aba ne mare no oba kalipo no amegu company na every one mama ye so hu oba e say one district one factory one village one dam ekosi say she pon bi like no mukwaye yo anu kwa are it is say all be ko say na last nation address no de maye ya oba sole akoyo that means one contractors for say e dey anko forge contracts so what they make and say oh man no it work we say ya kwaji esika dam ne de me area de ne ensuo to o e pen mu pa say the worker say set contractors not this way ni say someone say na all free so me say be dan ka esika no eno na ye ba betie because to be frank sa boshe na obehye ye hu hwio akwaya sa ban na mu no wo mu disika ento disika na so de dwuma bi nzuma obi na onya akona ntimi anya na ne kana ye kana na ne te ne ka ye kana na ne kana ye de bi na dwuma hye wonsa ena ti o hwe wo de wa in fact hwe nana baasi hwe ministers ahodo pa of wo mu of parliament 120 ministers enti oba sole akọ ministers bebebe ya akase edi efifre atiomka abena jumobe no bedi wo man mu o ye president wa fa mesel wo de edwuma hyemensa se menye wonne me ya fa nyina o party kro me MPP no so ye MPP scan who do nyafo left and right who do from na se me de na de mam se menye na me so manya na ko na try truck out bid the tour metimi aka ne kese metimi aka de ntia metimi aka ne se me na me de ade na hya won sa wo di ahyemen yes se bra ne beye ti o wo di ne left and right anu mama me bi se menya dwuma na manya na se my sa Ghana na umba bo mambo mo enti me pese me kire se aban na mu oteso no no amu no wo di sika no ene na di ete ebe de na obi odi adwuma hya ne nsa no wanya wo betumi akwa question se adent na wanya because ade na na ye medu won amenti ase o ebisi daw se president beba power no wa fa ministers ahodo talk of ministers no she ministers ahodo fa yo ne ba Judas on no be 50 pe wa adwene ho se ene ntina me so hu se MPP for enkofo bi a upom na oboy sikeka obo yo torofo pa wo mo
na se me no ne nama na se o ye me your vice na se wo wa for ministers 120 na me ba na me ka se me be fa 150 na just say atem didi akwa de mana na do ba wo me we didi Akuffo Addo totally we didi na tem na so say amemo na obunyanse bi enim
na amemo obi wa henyanse bi wo
nti MPP for enkrofo be mo azan me de
ye pescammers MPP for scammers
minya
ndi otwatro Ghana ye ba omia
minya ndisi ni minya MPP ni be matna o menimfi ye chanso bebre eso matna MPP amemu mu pen ana matna NDC amemu pen na me nukure na oboisike opo bi o mo tro ya azan
omu ye scammers fraud ankasa no opo mu ye frauders pa MPP for
MPP
nana kasa na abakasa no ye de agie sika o esan bo hye na obehye ye sa one district one factory ni ne ho nkro ne ban na ye hu so fa so bia na wo watwa 8 years watwa 8 years so infia pole nwotwe na watwa wentimi anya hwe
ope baby omomobon Eastern region is anya baby ya se kwa Bibrem district abai no Addo ehu se ehonum no eye MPP stronghold Eastern region eni diem MPP strong MP Eastern region nyina baby Akuffo Addo timi ye bibia man se obeye akwan eye ne diem no chebi honum no na ene se ene yi omamu emusie ye kra no kra efuom kwan kra no magu
obi a ne diem
ehonum metimi aka se wo ye ade na kwa Bibrem di na me do me say etimo moto aba mo ban na to so mani ewu papa mo ban na te so sana na Addo ntimi amaye mo kwan ni ade amamo me kan bibia se eyin president bi no beba ba ya amamo efi se MPP ni ba se ba wo mi aba sesie ye fa nse fa 2024 ba wo mi aba wo ba wo mi
ko di kuro mo
entini we asantini abedi so bi eno ye Kufuo na Addo ba nche no ya chimem Kufuo obeye oye ne
oye asantifo
de se Kuffo Addo wa ba na se wantimi anya Eastern region
de
na Eastern region for monka hu se mo
the question is sana no anu diem kura wantimi anya na ahifa no ene skana fa
anya se no anu diem hwe aya na omoba titu ni MPP for omoba o mani nyina agina eye baby NDC stronghold no ebe ya mu ni a mistake ana ye omoye no omo say sa side na America no se opa Akuffo Addo meton hokora opa meton krom wofo nyina onfam nkonkwan sum onfam onyom slaves on beto am Akuffo Addo MPP wa hu omo say
no na kele ye no
wa hu say ho ne stronghold eti so ye ni yo wanye ni yo on beto am eti emra so say wo sanka timamufuo no mo na mo dwen na mo yi omoma ha me see is omutimi to about say kwa Bibrem district na omutimi to about na MPP for na move bilem
me ntwa
na NDC 5
me ntwa wa
enso hwede wo ya wo
me ntwa wa no she on say time na NDC wo power no yes na petrol ko ne price ne ye enti wa hwe enei MPP abenso ene NDC fa compare petrol prices no fuel fa compare ne hwe
mate say yesi Akuffo Addo obekasa fa fuel obetse ida so ombete so obekasa fa ho ne na da me se beba from ka be me pesa me ka kira ne se fuel no te so a you know lorfe and enko from da na enti enko from se obete so ekwan na aka ne nam so nyenti omo de sika ne be
ko na maintenance
minimum kwan bi o se kwa muti trotro ti meji 3 cedis and so trotro di 6 cedis okoka ya tefu we so kwa beka to se hwe na kwan we no abo bibi din ebu a unim ne bo ne ka ho bibi ebu a unim ne bo won endi sama papai ama anya kwan no ma ye ya kwan na fu a na lori fe no mo nte so
unim se MPP ba so sikadi akoso wo man yi mu pa
o ene de
sikadi akoso wo man mu kire se hwe me de ya na me wanwo enti papa na ye friend can promise o musa de enti ye friend can promise ana ya want ye body din ya no wonte ana she to be frank she boshe she encourage some obeka kire youth no or empower youth ni ma youth ni hu say so oba power sa nyema wemu omo how to atwa enso na youth ni so ana eso
madam for immigration officer bi ozo ye NDC ni be Akuffo Addo bae omo ba to 2020 aben o say eh obetutu mu pe mu ano say eh dabi mama ntuma papa oso mutuma mama san ntuma papa na eh asa ni makoye oso mutuma mu wie no ba 3 months kana mu salary ma
adan ko da no no
o say hono say eh ohumi o say eh ya uofa wa kuru papa
o de afa mutiri ho
wa kuru papa
so enti ade a isa ye bo ho mpaye ni say o me kasanfa sa one district one dam no ho one village sa nyema no sa boss because still up to date no yisika se nkrofo to me no mi anu sika se nkrofo to esan so the contract na se nkrofo
no manye
eno manye enti o so be kasafa ni oku ba bia esika no ne ekoje ya ade
aponchire ni abeto no koto ho mba asema me akonya ntran no na ya koda ne ka se won na amafo kaman no won no wo this kan no be da koda obi kaman
papa abro woni tiri ho na se de na wa ba mu ankasa mo se na ti kwa ya shen
me de hu aduane sem kan na ye duane wa okota aduane sister are ho mitimi de no se mi se me to aduane ni se yo Ghana ye even anwa mi krom ya anwa mi krom ya anwa wo mi krom ni minima de pa mekasa de we de ebi ni Ghana na na kum chacha ka ye de ban kum chacha akola nyame eka o si domo ye wo edi boy ye wo ye ma bebre ya wantankom ye won simile just ye minima de bekase ye duane sema ye ni bi wo Ghana ye duamu first kura da ni ebi before mu na ye duano local rice na ye duano first kura de obu ho wo mpe se Ghana ha mi krom ye dua perfume rice mi krom ye dua perfume rice it minima de pa wo Ghana ha ye duane sema ye ni bi wa ha
enso na niam boy ye din ase ye da so kra
first na say uticha ni kire wa do timi ka sa work we de ye for sabetie na se mi titi cheni obeka betie asem a se eye for sab no boy
ye wo sa niam ye wonua ne sem no ba ya wadwene hu se sa ye ka ne say enfidie na wo se aban timi produce emu omutimi di ye sa enwuma no aban na afa ama sa facilities na omuhia no mu de be ye sa niam aban na produce na se dey ono okoto ne niam na ode ba be na we se ade ne be ye fo ama na
enti na making said ye dua board ye dua banch ye dua buro te se ye kra de banch no kra na eye papa na efufuo banch ya se ye kotu egu kra santimi de ye kokonte de ase kra ye kotu egu santimi de ye gale enti minim te se ye won fa so bebre e wono bai ni dodo na enso no ono abese e komede
ye te sa ne ma we mu nyina so
e komede
na ye nana gagai me so anu kunu ko te ko to mu ko free man so mu ko ye
dey said the sofu be kind na no me and no me aka o mine said dem be sofu be kind na kire say o dadwe hu an won ti ase
e na obi susu kura so be ka say e fi si na nane so wa we ni chia
se wa blo ni
so anu so di fi aka man
edwodi ni bi a me ko ni interview an kwa ka asem kro no se nana ne se wa blo ni case ne bae na nade ne nkwa kan na o ma na afide ye jere
ga obi a ba kwa bi so se nkwa ye bi so di fia be ka man
se me dadwe ho amenti ase eburo bi am obi de chair me am se me kono awe me je eburo ne to me kitchen me ko ye eburo ne fifi me se Ghana nya me esira ye ka me anya mfa eburo ne mfura me san to eburo wo me kitchen
so
so for mo da ho na efifi
Nyankopon ehira che bibi data so create bi fifi mani Nyankopon ehira ye enso ye nya empanyimfo papa a moment mi an show man
country ben president country be a president be kasa was say Africa or as things abrofu ni bi no was Africa nyame ehira ye enso ye leaders na
Share to be frank, I say, what the Juma show bin sa. What you any panica? And yeah, it's a south one says here. Would the infant say, would the Jumesica? No one can swap for worker. Would the Juma Shani Panis? I was any time, yeah, would the any light? And to back us, what would this can be? It is a wood the Juma and as a light, one shall light and so as one hair light, and so I won't mean can once a manner. You man, oh no, I mean to mingle. I didn't know to mingle. It's minka. I didn't know to minka. Na me penny, na me may no sono. Me no me bobran, me boy. I to say, come back as a message for your call. Yen oh, to minka Sancho. A dependent relationship, and you don't deserve to be a president. I mean, now they are sitting. And it's a wound to the Aduma show being sat, not a wound to me, Shani Pan of Manipan, yet there was a way, Abra would in your pet. Miss Obelcom, not president for Omun this can be you. Omu batabata woman. Aha, quite my phone, Judas mono, Omu discanacasi. Chichenia or bar class, then I was sending 9 tables so now. What book didn't come at 2 days, no me a phone, a warrior snap and awkward TikTok now. Not a student, Aquala, and so in the non cook Aquala bonko more coffee moon a man, Pragiam once a man, who teach and waiting at Tiagala. Enti o tell about discipline I don't know na some crowd here e fear that lap to have school no one sem e just say an education are very poor to be frank and next teacher new crowd ni school ni champena can na say memma teacher for memma no mu student champena and so na teacher for maya na nkasa kwa omu hu fresh boy wo school mo ye na champena. And then an Addo nim hoshe. What's an Addo nim hoshe? Only who be bitches so much yan and Nancy and now on man penny. Dear what's all the man crowd the man crana and Casanima way down Ebesi. So what to me for private jets? Now what to me the uncle buy soon? Never see us one for female cow mine. What can private jets? Or be say, hey, I get go who are the orphan Akuffo when I'm Gallo. And it is true. Hey, Papa, let's what the empire you're going down and say, or Baba Casa for some contract. I can saw their mamma and Crofona, or mind to me, you know. She Saka quite way and Namusina, as a sham Crofona. I dear no more change. A quite minimum from my crowd to, I think, say, quite Bibram district make a horse and maker. We say our bam, we sell, who call our bams on my acquaintance. A first coat. No muguye na se de kwan na sem tutu no ka first one de dada de na kwan ka eye so e kwan na tutu basa enso e wo bi sa wakotu no atu e ho se waye sa kwan se de wo kan no so mo ye de contract ni se mo so mo mra no mecheche mo mra ne e be so mo no mecheche mu wo aban no as a president obi ntimi fa no ho ntoto wo kra de wo so wa America utimi fe me here ska we no would debre no e different from would debre me na the contract a share won sa won timi ka say me di nti usu obedi akọ tena hoy e was say make sure enta me ka say there are some people that don't deserve to be a president say president as won timi stand en ka say me the contract a share won sa timi ye follow up akwese kwa na be koso dia you don't deserve it it people so say say time obe so makoye campaign on betu afiri man aso be fa foto ni mu bi na akọ on be fa so hwan Oyarefa MP bi owo no ana ohofo no ene ne kokasa se papa yesra o de yankasa eskafo e wa ha ye bagigi ska na ye betwa so na musmufa kota megus ne kwan ne nya asem ese MP no hwan na ye MP wo ho no ya ba mfini din ya asem MP ni ka chom se ada kwan na sai ana mo se enzi wo se kwan na se o se ne mo ka na enye it is our papa we no asa stande na ma sa ato ama na obaje che Wellington boot ama no ma to ama na se we dey mo se fata afuom mo dia mo se fata mo kwan na o mo ka na enya mo ka ya ebo podo so beti kuf mo ai enti mo ka ana enya se ko mo ka ya anga obehu so mo kwan ya adofo anti na che se ai ma ha na me ya agegede me di mu besi na ye ntoa so ye kohwe na ya ko kakra na eja ye ba efia dala so di school no ho nsensem so ba be pemo so ni ahwese ni esi ko school afia pon
mam wen fi say di ni de dosho na de me je so pa ene oba ya gege
ene so ntia say ya gege no osora ko no osole akọ me ni nete ha kopintam ha ono ane wo fa ode ni nsem ni be wi an ebi be ba akọ no no de se me ni si he ni ya ese mita no ye bo ha se mita an ti esra mo se mo de mo nko hwe kakra bi ni e ba e be sa de school ho nsensem no asa abesom
They have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. They have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government, because I have been a minister of state and I have been in the office of the president before, and I'm telling them on authority, any government cutting sword in election year that he is exiting is a scammer. I knew they have come here this year to cut a sword. All that I want to tell Ghanaians is that any government,
Oh, Jana, why a fish?
Shift na mo sere me.
Oh, that Addo for Kakan, ya for some.
Addo for a bed, the idea, and she and you which I am I ask what I am for say, said the piano, or the corner sign, at the Yabana, the eye, wait, dear, I just say I'm boom. Say I'm young, but we need a beer drona, Abena,
Fie, debut on me cry me say. Papa better not to 8 good years. So while who are Ghana heavy, unim the air coso. Share education system. And then the last so on far dress beyond Ray Bium and Napa who are son, young who are cook
what has said me be so say. Mugu so change and an Addo Gaga, Addo play my Addo Calipo. At the State of Nation address a bray.
So I don't
we are banal dating an adva, make the young couple say promise and film. I was my first a brony. Ma'am, because
Yamemo about 3.
There be because what I try said, who started up my State of the Nation address 10 a.m. And I shall Ghana 4 and Brewer 4. Me mamma cry from me so TV who chance on another the State of the Nation address.
Ghana my time, the son of
a bray. I bossing.
And I make sure say Ghana mine time.
10 no 10 a.m. Pepe sisi about 11:15. No chance at time.
Sisi I me problem ne say. Wow, share education system. Time money to your school fees. Any ya say you free no. O share difference sign na abem.
Sister. Sa free SHS no the buy no. Me njina ha no mo nka say amboa o. Aboa baby so a ha adwen. Because share baby a hu senyansa bia anim. Wotimi hu pa sa de we die nyansa anim baby
because you Nana hu frankly speaking odi adwen ho agro. Yeah, na who ni say or the free SHS aba. Obana ko school 90 days. Pe say 3 months when omo kodi wo school.
Ebi wo kra 3 months ni.
No abetina fie 150 days. Enti busa won say akwa no we lose anaso ageni.
O lose dey be ebe lose because Ghana for no hu. And Mahama kan say was short memory. Mahama kan no cry because she say your friend is saying cry. This man me ya say me re feed the sisi on person me body di be ya den ya di ni me kai ono say NPP for hinya kan say campaign omu hia ne so omu be chiche NPP for la course and omu t-shirt because omu t-shirt na efe so omu chema enkrofo a omu be kwa vote am
there be na t-shirt ni efe Ghana for e bi ani ho there na ma t-shirt ni efe Addo t-shirt ni mi ana
blue, red and white no.
Can you imagine?
I don't know t-shirt ni yes.
Black mind with black sense.
Sister Ghana ankasa no hu. Ye den. Because Ghana yan kasa no baby wo ho no am ti mi hu sa adwembo no we ye 3.
She ye ni analysis o. Akra ko school. O se free SHS. Akra ni school dan wotimudi sua ade.
School dan ni de sister. O kwa mikro mu o fa me so se me body kwa school mo do ben bra kwa district madam kwa na kwa share de omu si free SHS no since 2018 aguna odo ben school time a mi twem wo ho no mu mi hu se omu si friends and school dan no blocks no omu de to ye no eno ana e ho omu plaster ye omu painti ye na dan no kra no. The last time I met far honor, na nkwara ni bi student ni bi complain ni say dan ni bi baby wo hono mu a mo na mu a mo ti say dan ni wo so
yo afie enti say wo compare sa na ma we nyina ene your education level no very poor
easy
from nursery to tertiary
okwa the bia me ma me wo sisi every obrem me nsoro se mebo because the American ye no kre
yes
okwa ho no mu a amanfo pon methodist ni presby omo ankasa teachers no any parent no no maka bom because omo nya teachers enye se nkrofo ye ni graduate e was krom han mo betimi akwa kire nkwara anadio nkrofo ho no pa okwa akra han mo traffic mu sisi ekra wo be hu nkrofo a omoton ebi a graphic ebi mo tonton
so be graduate
betimi akwa chire ba ye post yo mo
da be na post wo
enti wo kọ ho no mo a wo hwe ye kan say obi a wa wie JHS SHS o tifie a onye hwe na parents no any teachers na nkasa aka abom na oma jijiji ska na omo de akwa nipa no
enti mi busa say as SHS student na okwatre JHS ni ade be na okwatre
hu bebre o frɛ me krom assembly man sisi obeka kire
hey Ghana ya ka echi pa o ya ka echi yes ya ne ya etu aba hwe to be frank Ghana for my ni na ho yes ya etu aba ye po kandini papa a obetimi ama education akoso no kandini ben
o kwaka se Ghana for ani da ho a yen se Ghana for ye nim se wo se ye ni da ho because president abegina ho abe se ya kire ye se no
onu asema mani na ho
na se still ya ma ye ni nda ho no mo
enti kuro bi wa Ghana ha say enkuro da so wa Ghana ha say up to date teacher ni kuro ne so
oh jai sister
this is awufuo na ye contribution e di ma efie ni pa na okotira ade ade nti na wo say ye
yes see every time bia akara ba ku bia betua 20 cedis no mu de atua sa teacher na ya akwa
oh very poor
o kwa sometimes bon say me call hono I think the last 4 months or something me call every no me see me ko kroma akota ade me hu say nkora ne na me from na mbiza o me say at this time enye break time omo okwan omo say ya pamo omo na me say because that time no na time on soon say nkora anko exams enti enye printing fee because first na ye nim say government school grade no mu ntia printing fee amu the exams ne ba ya government abro mu no makwa akotro na me say besisi a no mu tia printing fee nti me say enye exams time e no maka say ya pamu mu say mu nkofie nkodi printing fee nti ya pamu mu na mu ko no mu koji den omo say ye say scan no mu di tia teachers for ne kan ye ntia ye nti ye nkofie na me say ha yes scan na mu na mu tia teachers for ka
na sa aban na nye nti omu ya aban adwuma ma aban
parents na me say nti parents to mu kwa and omu de kwa friends say district office and I said district education office so mu kwa complain sometimes oba kwa ho na obi ani ho enso ni party ho no mu yetua omu ka
enti ya na me bisa say nana wo betina akonwa no so for 8 good years
Adi papa be no kakra na makoma ye me ya
adi papa be no waye
because ye hu faso bia like sa the mama bet na ho abeka che
enti enne wo nation address wo last nation address ya wo se wo be me
no say the last
yes enne the last onti fa bi mu ba enne ai enti dia na obeka wo
sister ya betin
afi na obesa say education background na saf na obesa education system
ya betin sem dia ba o mi abeka ye no kra no ya ntehwe afa
can you imagine when you say kuro bi wo honom omu school dan ye bu
enye kuro bi wo ho ka se kuro bi wo honom ana akwa ye se kuro ba akope na omu school dan
na se wo ho nkuro wo ho
nkuro brebi
okay nkuro wo ho hwe mo amu de mo hwe screen yi so a hwe students omawofuo ye dware o wa sheni uniform wa krama mi ko school ye de na munso mkosansu as a student o ye mesi ni
last year so hu ya na video bi trend wo social media no so ahu se enkwara o moti asieye esu ade because o mu ni school dan o mu ni nkonya
na de o motete blocks no so class o make say
sister blocks ne kra de be fine sa de asieye
ni nyina de akwasu sa nyema we ye etwagu o ayi abel fontaine time su na oni phone na
sister o phone na phone akasa otimi fa na ohwe anim ha nkrofo emu ho yesere papa ma dakra
obeda we mpa ye kwa na akasa obey
obeda na wo parliament crocot na hoda na wo phone
da ohram nyina bo no oyo ne na we oyo ni die no obeka
sister by this time I may say me can almost me say but what's will be ready address okay ya tias ya what's 10 ya ba bet na ho no mama na boy 11 na namba ye nti sa 10 na ye gu so sisi ya sabre na ni ku
wa hwede etwagu o screen so future leaders na boy ya bro to be frank onim so o ma akra na dwempa o ma akra ne sa facility no odi besua da akra na ba be president esan se onu akonya no ma ne fie akonya ai obekona ne ba benti no onu onya na ya na mbisa se mu kwagina kwoto aba na ne ba ko school Ghana de
school ya ye kan wunim se parents schools bi wo hon mo parents o man kasa mo jijiska anasa wo do wo ba wunim se wo ba ko school wo hon mo na wata akonya wo ba na ekwa na oso na akonya na odi ko school we na school na nkasa na omo to wo ba ne to na akonya de akọ no school no omo school dan nye epono nda no
oh my god
it is omo pon school no omo kofi
omo no obi abefa
enye obi befa kra abefa ne sa emponchi any njwan na omo de ho no mo school dan ni mu ayo
Mekai there was a certain school ni refi omo kra bo de enye emponchi o omo so omo pon because of say school dan no pono any window bi anda ho enti omo be pon school mbekọ no ade be chom be ba no na sabi enkrofo nu boni yo mutwitwi no ma kokoko toilet agu school dan
no brado omo de acha mo sister ensamu kwaso aye nti o
anti we mu nyina na na aye nhwe han abet na akonwa no so infie pole watche ese be sole akwa ne kurapra
eya headmasters no omo wo ensamu omo pese omo nkan be sister wo kan and the Tuesday wo kona wo kasa etina Wednesday ubenya letter say ya yi wedi enti adwuma na wo ye na nkasa no ye ntu aka bi abe 4 months 5 months o salary mbaye
ya ne ebo ye ho abro
wo be san class say ya yi wedi
enka aban ne mwaye no e wo se nka ya yetimi bo ye ho enso adwuma bia mu no ye wo Judas wo adwuma mu on se nipa mpa no kro headmaster ne be ka no kro enso no yonku nipa o twa ntro de ko pe animu favent no oba wo ni nua yonku ho
sister wo for kan achina ye be yi wedi nti eno ansa oba ka wano atum un say yes ye wo ni ama nyina ho kwa ye ni na de fataye ha enti sa wo kwa kan asem we say oh ade ni say na tie ade ni ye wo kwa ka say ye na achina ye be yi wedi na wone wo mba ekoma de o ma because say wunim Ghana saja Ghana aye den no yeah, the education ne prato nchen still Ghana ayedin.
Me dey say Ghana ne ye na ayedin e nse ayedin. Na ye ma no nso ye ma na ye ma wo education papa. Ene ya na ehia me no.
Enkwara no. Wo ba no so be yi o. On ye yi o. Enfa minister ho enfa MP ho. Unwu se MP ba ya ko free SHS. Akwoto minister ba so si free SHS wo no mu bi. Unkoto.
Dey bi
na kwaso wo ho na
enfa. Enfini ben and obema ne ba ko school 90 days no bet na fie 150 days
na make us inform
eya mo check ne sa mo be hu sadia mo ma no mo lucy ne ma pa nya easy akwa be ko school 90 days enso ka na tete no ye makwan na akra no otimi nya kwan edi agwa kakra bi de aka nya ye school da enso ne system ni nyina asasa
wa ko school acha 3 weeks obet na fie na omo wie school last year no say omo ka say omo go school last year December no so omo go school 2 weeks no omo ma kwan bet na afie
so like
ebedi Christmas
to be frank Ghana has a lack bebre say the be a Bible can American or see nimdi a me manfo nyantin amo man na yira Ghana ya yira o
sister ye nya because yan kasa no ade o ho no mo e wo say ye nye no ye nye na ya aka bibi se ebi wo ho no mo anya aban wonim mahama time na MP owo mi krom Georgina ye madam we sika otro letter de bra mahama ni mpanifo se watwa kwan eskumo odobin bra kwa district madam ukona ko hu kwan a ho ubesu mahama bedina TV so be ka se wa ye kwan eskumo odobin bra kwa district kwan watwa ni yopo na me se ya district ni mu yo mo je mahama no se wo ni mu no kura ewo ma wo hu ubeka se bia ni nyina ya ban fort be yan kasa temamufo na adwem boni we yetrim ena ba bi so ho no we se ye fan blame aban no because we se wonyi nkrofo se nipa we mama sika
enti de be enti na me se ye to abama o se bra ne bedi ye so na le yan kasa ye fesika enye ya ade
en fa no de be fa ministers
So what the family say 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 ba Akuffo nsa entimi nkata Nyankopon anim say dem make am atese e na Ghana ha say so de ade amahu ni say Ghana ye oman a ye mfa oman na nso ye de tu ya beti e na ye so mami so nya so kakra enti say at least for ministers kwara so de adwuma hye wo mu nsa wo ye president asam na ba ye nko hot minister wo president wo ne hotel enti eni adenti na wo fa vigilators ana wo social share adwuma no so
minister etu ne car obeje hu allowance car na enyo nu na fuel na ye di gum na enyo nu na etu aka no car ne so kra anya ne de aban de maintenance enyo nu na eyo aban na eye be so otu car otu free ha no mo me fan say e de call pass o ba beje hu allowance
me say na no kra de funny clip bi ara me hwe obesi face ya o mi hu ambulance kra so the filling station da ada ya no mu nipa moja na egu mu ana e say so odwene hu a enu to ko say blame aban o si ya mu say aban ne say eti de na ambulance enko filling station na ndi egu mu o say ambulance en Yusufu ana
ensuo ne ye de gum
so ye ka enye bi wo ho no ma aban na akreti am no ankasa ne hu she omani de japade ahya wonsa na na sho we ade we suma me na ye show say ade we eye circle ne dem asa circle we no ekwai bi e wo hu bi a fort wo ho enti ede ne esika nyina ahya wonsa fasiesie fort na e wo ho no e na so atena se hu se me ye ade say ye di dwumade we ya hya me sa me nkoa me ntimi me ude na me nka se me pa show me nkoa me ntimi enti na me fa nkrofo amoma ba be ka me ho ede na si kwan se obi a wodi adwuma ahye ne nsa bia utu ni so anamo na ohwe se adwuma no waye ne pepepe ana so onye ne pepepe
eya sometimes me bisa se mpo se ebi a aban mu mpanifo no se mu mpese mu besan akofa nkrofo foforo se mu hwehwe ne ama we so a mu mpese mu besa sika no mu di mu kwa na mu pese mu ndi mu mpese obi bedi biem enye problem okay sisi a police for the soldiers for no mu gu Ghana ha se no mi bisa o se sebi ebrabe no mu bo Ghana na de mu be kan se mu de mu kogu borders
na Ghana ha mu police ni soldier
oh yes say
me police ni soldier bia
yes
me se nkrofo bi gina kwanse ya no mo jeje correction ba me nim so mu police o
na danu me kwa akra na me kɔ no fa dansoma hɔ no mu baabi na ye de police for mienu oba ba ko be ma ba ko na ye de omo aba be gina ho se omo direct cars because na light out Ghana de be a light out intino traffic adum na mi nim se oba ne be ma na omu gina ho no mo se ba ko ne ne girlfriend omu de omo aba be gina ho se ba ko ne nua na omu de omo aba gina ho e na omu gina ho na omu di odo
na so omu di odo obi de ye pins a hye na so se ya ono de anya ye piece omu di odo e na me che on say ya e na obi ko on ho because of traffic lights na asay e na wo direct cars no nti instead say wo be hwe we mako e force na kododo nti wo say wo stop it na e fa hofra ko obi edi line mu 30 minutes o ma ne kwan na say ya okobo si ne yemu hyi ni say boom ansa na wo kai so wo duty
direct enya sam kotwa omuja ho na edu me say
na debi o to be frank enye kan yenka enka sa traffic light ene kwan say ya man e seche
enye say ya say kra ma
wodu ayi ya kan say ka so akwan so ya na me refi ho no mudin wotra weja kwa after weja sa akro ye wo ho no mu traffic light ni ho no
omunye
eti civilians no eba de wo chem de okita car de wo chem aye very kwani so sanye
okwo anya haya me say traffic light na say yo instead of so omo beba ye no omunye e na omo direct cars no so na omo start edwuma se minim se time omo pe na omo ba so omo what time omo de ba na abedru wa no mo no wa hu car no we mpese obegina na we ya twem we so mpese we begina na we ya twem na ndi omo ahia na omo we ya hwe oyonko anim wo kwan anim
we
na omo gina ho because chese ena one more mujina ho no mu no senka ebia ye be fa ne sem education ye papa media Ghana ha no mu na chese ena nka be ye omunjai books no omo chile
say ka se di sa sem we nyina echi ahu
common sense wo school
na se ye ready nation address ne di amanana na so ohwe na se nation address unya bia de
address na nka sa dem nya sure say
wo de fabre ba be ready ama why
embassy address no
de wo be ka nyina akwa nim so obedi so what a try so 8 years we ye hu de wo ye wo mo
ba so kra
so ministers ahoduo ana na fa efaye ye busa se adwuma be no be ye wo so
adwuma ben sister adwuma no count o mbeka so o ma free SHS
oh SHS no fa chen
then what is NPP ni abekasa wa abron kan free SHS da omo ti mi yin enu na ye omo biggest
ene ga na man sa me ye ja achi mafia obekase yesi munye dey munfa blog no entoto makoma so sa chese emi se nsema na wonti bi da no obeka eniema obaye sa mi 8 years no 8 years na obaye no obeka kaniema obeye ye busa se fuwa no obeye bibi afa ho free SHS obeye bibi afa ho amaye ana
dada no say there
because fuwa no dey prayen nti ene ye hwe nanim se fuwa no beka sa afa ho any sa tax no me dey sa ne tax no dey atoto eniema so ni na sa ni 11 ya mo be so be yi nyina free wa ma
prior ayasa wa count here
Prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served. and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, the National Pledge. I promise on my honor Honorable members, at the commencement of public business, honorable members, the House is extremely privileged to have the presence of His Excellency Nana Addo Akuffo Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces in this August chamber. His Excellency the President is here in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to deliver a message on the state of the nation to this honorable House. On behalf of leadership and all honorable members, it is my privilege and singular honor to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic to this august House. This is the House of Parliament. This is the House of the people. This is the House of accountability. And this is the House of democracy. Honorable members, before I invite His Excellency the President to deliver the message in the State of the Nation, I want, with your kind permission, to recognize the presence in this chamber of the following distinguished personalities. We have Her Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akuffo Addo. We also have His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Honorable members, order, please. Honorable members, we also have His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia. We have in our presence Her Excellency, the Second Lady, Haja Samira Bawumia. Surely, honorable members, surely we have the spouse of the Speaker, Her Excellency, honorable members, we have the spouse of the Speaker, Her Excellency Alice Addo Jonas. Honorable members, we have Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Tokonu. We have the beloved spouse of the Chief Justice, Mr. Francis Kofi Tokonu. Honorable members, we have our revered Chairman of the Council of State, Nana Otio Sribo II. And we have the Chief of Staff, the Chief of Staff, as you all know, is in charge of the whole family of the Right Honorable Speaker, Madame Frema Opare. We have His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Honorable members, can we finish? Can we continue? Honorable members, honorable members, when the speaker is on his feet, everybody else is seated and quiet. That is Parliament. Please, this is the formal sitting of Parliament, and all the rules apply. I will not be tempted, and I resist it, to start enforcing some of the rules. I know this is election year, but my words can deselect a lot of you. So please, my words on this chair can deselect a lot of you. Kindly take note and let's proceed. His Excellency, as I mentioned, is the former President of the Republic of Ghana. We have in our midst Her Excellency Nana Konadu Adjuman Rawlings, the former First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. We have the Right Honorable Michael Aaron Okwe, the former Speaker of Parliament, my predecessor. We have the National Chairman of the new Patriotic Party in the person of Mr. Stephen Ayensu Intim. We also have the National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia. We have the General Secretary of the new Patriotic Party, Mr. Justin Frimpong Kodua. And we also have the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Fifi Fiave Kweti. We have the veteran former clerk to Parliament, Mr. Samuel N. Dakwa. They started it all even for independence. He was in the Legislative Council, and they supported the late KB Ayensu to establish the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. We have another former clerk to Parliament, my own brother, Mr. Emmanuel Kwesi Anyimedu. We have the heads of our security agencies and our esteemed chiefs, queens, and queen mothers. We have our most revered religious leaders and the dean and members of the diplomatic corps. We have our development partners with us and representatives of various civil society organizations. And definitely, we have our partners, our dependable partners, members of the media. Honorable members, with your kind permission, I may have to end here by acknowledging all the dignitaries and distinguished invited guests over here. I now have the greatest pleasure in inviting His Excellency the President to deliver his message. Your Excellency, you may deliver your message now.
Mr. Speaker, it is always exhilarating to be back in Parliament and to discharge the duty in fulfillment of Article 67 of the Constitution of delivering to the House a message on the state of the nation on this occasion for the penultimate time. I have one more still to go. In accordance with protocol and convention, it is good to see that First Lady Rebecca Akuffo Addo, Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, the spouse of Mr. Speaker Alice Ajua Jonas, Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and Justices of the Supreme Court, representative of the Chairperson and members of the Council of State, the new Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Thomas Opon Pepra, General of Police, Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, and service chiefs are all present, as are the Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Mr. Speaker, the House is also duly honored by the welcome attendance of the former President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and former First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Ajiman Rawlings. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to be able to report that the entire territory that makes up our nation is safe, secure, and under the control of the government and people of Ghana. It sounds like a pedestrian statement with which to start a message on the state of the nation. Unfortunately, far from it being an everyday truism, this is no longer a statement or claim that can be easily made in these times in the neighborhood in which we are. West Africa is under threat of terrorism and violent extremism, rapidly spreading southwards from the Sahel to coastal West Africa. We can no longer take the territorial integrity of our countries for granted. Indeed, many of our neighbors have already fallen victim and lost large portions of their territories to extremist groups. And Ghana, by the grace of the Almighty, is the only coastal state along the Gulf of Guinea that has so far not recorded a terrorist attack. The Speaker, the peace and security we have in our country has not happened by chance. It has taken deliberate policy and planning on the part of government and a lot of hard work and dedication on the part of our security services to keep our country safe and secure. I might add that it has also meant that we've had to spend a lot of money that would have otherwise have been available to spend on many of our development needs. But I believe we're all agreed that the primary responsibility of the state towards its citizens is to provide and guarantee peace and security, and we're doing just that. Since we came into office, we've ensured a significant expansion of the armed forces and all the other security agencies. We're paying diligent attention to their welfare as well. The accommodation and physical environment generally of the security agencies are being improved. We've quickened the pace of the retooling and equipping of the security agencies to ensure readiness towards the emerging security threats. For the majority of us, in our everyday activities, it is the security of our streets and homes and communities that concern us most. We want our children and grandchildren to grow up in a safe atmosphere, and the Ghana Police Service played the lead role in this. Again, government has performed most creditably. The police are much better equipped than they have ever been, and their increased visibility on the streets goes a long way to reassure. The changing image of the police is perhaps best exemplified by the dramatic facelift they have given to the frontage of the police headquarters on the Ring Road in Accra. It is beautiful, and I recommend it to all institutions and indeed households. Whilst we're spending time, money, and energy and lives keeping the country safe from external dangers, I must add that it is a matter of great concern that we continue to have so many chieftaincy and land disputes around the country, which tend to be breeding grounds for internal tensions and destabilization. Mr. Speaker, I must make special mention of the troubles in Boko. The tragedy is not only that a thriving and dynamic town is being reduced to a wasteland of destruction and distrust. We're spending money and energy that would have been better spent on development needs of Boko, providing security to keep brothers and sisters from killing each other. Mr. Speaker, what should concern all of us, and not just the people of Boko, is that in its current state, Boko is an alluring magnet to mischief makers and extremists operating a few kilometers away from the border. In a bid to find a lasting solution to the conflict, government has in the past year undertaken a number of measures, including the establishment of a special Boko task force and the intensification of engagements with the factions for the resolution of the chieftaincy dispute. On the recommendation of the Upper East Regional and National Security Councils, 4 radio stations that have been broadcasting incendiary language and propagating hate speech have been shut down by the National Communications Authority. The Chief Justice, for her part, has also recently established specialized courts in Accra and in Kumasi to deal expeditiously with criminal matters emanating from the Boko conflict. Government is determined to do all it can to ensure that there's security in every inch of the territory of our country. But it is also very much up to the citizens to help create the needed atmosphere. And I'm thus appealing to all citizens, all Ghanaians, to take the See Something, Say Something campaign of the Ministry of very seriously. There is indeed, Mr. Speaker, a state of palpable anxiety and tension in every corner of West Africa, raising the specter of regional instability, which we thought had been banished. Unconstitutional changes in government in parts of Africa, especially in West Africa, through a series of coups d'etats and military interventions in governance, testify to an unfortunate democratic regression in the region. It is in the interest of democratic growth that this development is reversed as soon as possible, and we in Ghana continue to give maximum support to ECOWAS, the regional body of West Africa, and the AU, Africa's continental organization, in their efforts to restore democratic institutions in the affected nations. We must help stem the tide of this unwelcome evolution and help entrench democracy in West Africa. We believe also that a reform of the global governance architecture, such as the Security Council of the United Nations, to make it more representative and accountable, will help strengthen global peace and stability, and thereby help consolidate democratic rule around the world. Mr. Speaker, we in Ghana have had our fair share of political instability and experimentation about how we should govern ourselves. There might be new names being ascribed to some of the supposed new ideas being canvassed by some today. But I dare say on close examination, we will discover that they are not new. We have tried them here, and they have failed. We know about all-powerful, cannot-be-questioned messiahs. We know about liberators, and we know about redeemers and deities in military uniform. It might sound new to some, but those of us who have been around for a while have heard the argument made passionately that democracy was not a suitable form of government if we wanted rapid development. It is a tired argument that was regularly used by apologists for coups d'etats. It's also not new to have political parties and politics in general being denigrated. Indeed, there used to be national campaigns of fear waged against politics and political parties. It took time, and it took long battles, but in the end, a consensus did emerge, and we opted for a multi-party democratic form of government under the Constitution which ushered in the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, it is not a perfect document. Constitutions do not ever pretend to be, but it has served us well these past 32 years, considering where we have come from. It is a sacred document that should not be tampered with lightly. But I hasten to add, our Constitution did not descend from heaven. We Ghanaians drew it up to serve our needs, and we can amend it to suit our changing needs and circumstances. We should work towards finding a consensus on the changes that the majority of Ghanaians want made to the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, democracies are founded on elections, and the holding of free and credible elections ensure that people have confidence in the government that emerged of the process. The honorable members of this House, who are at the center of it all, know more than the rest of us that this is an election year. The increased decibel level in all communications would ensure that even the most politically uninterested person among us would know that on December 7th, we shall be going to the polls to elect a new president and new members of parliament. A lot of the responsibility lies on the Electoral Commission to put the organization in place that will ensure that we have credible elections. The government is doing its part to make the work of the Electoral Commission go smoothly. A lot of responsibility lies on the political parties as well, and I hope that the parties recognize that their credibility is also on the line, especially wanting to undermine the multi-party democratic system of government. It is up to the parties to demonstrate that competitive elections are an honorable, character-enhancing experience, and that at the end of the process, the loser will congratulate the winner, and the world does not come to an end because an election has been lost. There is nothing inherently dirty or corrupt about politics, and nothing about elections that should generate violence. We who are in politics And we who are members of political parties owe it to ourselves, the institutions we claim to belong to, and above all, we owe it to Ghana and the people of Ghana to make politics and elections the serious and joyful phenomenon they should be. In discharging their responsibility, I urge the Electoral Commission to work with the political parties to iron out whatever problems there might be. And I'm happy that the Electoral Commission, after engaging the parties, has shelved plans to change the 7th December date. Politics, after all, has been described as the art of the possible. And if that is what we are engaged in, it should not be beyond us to resolve the problems that come up and concentrate on working to build the happy and prosperous country we want. Government on its part will do what is expected of it to make sure that the reputation of Ghana is not damaged and the free will of the people is manifested at the end of the electoral process. And I want to reassure the people of Ghana that I'll do everything in my power to help ensure the conduct of transparent, free, and fair elections on 7th December. I have confidence in the security services to ensure that those who might want to cause havoc or any kind of mischief to disrupt the electoral process will have no room to operate. Mr. Speaker, there are amongst us those who, for ideological or other unstated reasons, have never accepted multi-party democracy and therefore take every opportunity to portray the governance efforts in the most disparaging manner. There are also those amongst us who consider the rough and tumble of politics to be beneath them and will not want their sainted images to be soiled by what they term the dirt of politics. Mr. Speaker, we can and we should continuously improve upon the performance of the institutions that hold the state together. But nobody should undermine the integrity of the arms of government for parochial reasons. There is definitely much room for improvement in the workings of the executive arm of government, the judiciary, and our parliament. Even those who have had parliaments as part of their governance systems for hundreds of years still make mistakes and sometimes get things alarmingly wrong. It would be surprising if our 31-year-old parliament did not get things wrong sometimes. This august house, which holds so many fond memories for me of my personal political journey, doesn't always measure up to the expectations of the people, or even sometimes of its own members. There's a lot of anxiety currently about how our MPs get elected. There's anxiety about the rapid turnover of members in the House and the loss of institutional memory. There's a lot of anxiety about some of the procedures in the House. We will not all agree with everything that the Parliament does. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, that I do not agree with everything that goes on in here. But that is the beauty of what we as a people are trying to do in our governance structure. Mr. Speaker, the President and his appointees are not universally loved. It would be strange and unproductive if they were. It is probably worthwhile making what I consider to be important observations at this stage on some of the issues in our public discourse in the lead up to the elections for a new president. Under the Constitution, the executive power of the state is vested in the President of the Republic. He or she is the executive. There's no ambiguity about where the buck stops when it comes to responsibility for what happens in the government. It stops with the president. He or she has ultimate responsibility. It would be an unwise president that would pretend to have all the answers and refuse the advice of his officials. But the fact remains that the president holds the executive power. The cabinet, the ministers of state, all act ultimately in an advisory manner. Of course, a member of the government might take an idea, be it generated by the president or the official or a committee, and turn it into a huge success, and the honors will be claimed or shared where public perception falls. But ultimately, the president is responsible and therefore takes the credit or the blame for whatever happens in his or her government. Mr. Speaker, let me make a second point. The programs that come from the executive benefit from the rigorous public examination and debates to which they are subjected. We all now take for granted and sometimes even bemoan the vigorous media and civil society organization scrutiny that characterize public discourse. It gives me quite satisfaction and great pride to hear young Ghanaians today who believe that criticizing the President of the Republic and challenging government proposals are normal, regular activities. Some of the young people listen with incredulity when they hear about a Ghana that was once without private radio stations, and people had to tune into foreign stations to hear critical and opposition voices. Today, there are some 550 radio stations in operation in this country. In spite of all its shortcomings and difficulties, the people of Ghana have shown admirable commitment to multi-party democracy and have not fallen for the instigations to resort to the violent overthrow of an elected government. The past 32 years of the Fourth Republic have witnessed the most sustained period of stability and economic growth in our country. And we should be proud of what we have achieved and seek to protect and build on it. And that is why the theme for the 67th Independence Anniversary celebration on 6th March in Akuffo is Our Democracy, Our Pride. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report on the progress we're making in the administration of justice. This past year, a total of 76 judges and magistrates were appointed. They comprise the new Chief Justice, 2 new Justices of the Supreme Court, 23 new High Court judges, 29 Circuit Court judges, and 21 new magistrates. 262 staff were recruited to address some of the human resource gaps created because of the newly established courts throughout the country. In January 2024, 3 additional justices have been appointed to the Supreme Court to replace 3 justices who have retired from the court. We've made unprecedented progress in the provision of court buildings and residences for judges around the country. In 2020, government set out to construct 120 courthouses with residential facilities nationwide. As of 31st January 2024, 67 courthouses have been successfully inaugurated and are in use at various sites around the country. 12 completed projects have been slated for inauguration by the end of this month of February 2024. The remaining 21 projects are at various stages of completion and are expected to be completed and inaugurated before May 2024. In addition, 121 residential units have been constructed for judges throughout the country. Further, 20 fully furnished 4-bedroom units, together with social amenities, have been constructed for justices of the Court of Appeal in Kumasi. The project is not yet complete, but we have done enough to be able to say that we have resolved the problem of the disgraceful state of court buildings. The attention now is to the digitalization process of the courts to modernize the entire system. The Judicial Service has undertaken a digitalization initiative to modernize legal operations and foster greater access to justice. A virtual court system was introduced during the COVID-19 pandemic to ensure the continuity of business. The virtual court system was also rolled out to 17 courts and subsequently to 19 high courts for the smooth hearing of court cases. By the end of December 2023, 160 courts had been equipped with devices for the real-time transcription of cases, in addition to 51 courts piloting the paperless court system in Accra. The integration of real-time transcription devices in 160 courts has revolutionized the way in which court proceedings are recorded and documented. The service is rolling out a comprehensive digitalization of the court system. The Attorney General has continued in a very effective manner the tradition under this administration of contesting every single litigation against the state, and has avoided the new judgment debts that used to be given against the state. The Office of the Attorney General, as a result, has saved the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. All the evidence is there. I shall be performing a pleasant duty in a few weeks' time when I commission the Law House, the 12-story office building which will house the offices of the Attorney General and the Ministry, and finally bring to an end the age-old office accommodation problem. I must declare a personal interest in it, as the building was started when I was Attorney General in the government of President John Akuffo back in 2001. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge and share the frustration and deep disappointment we all have that a convergence of events and fate have conspired to place impediments on the path of the rapid development trajectory we were on. I'm proud that in spite of the dramatic financial crisis that we encountered in 2021, whose worst effects became manifest in 2022, the transformative measures we introduced in the first 4 years of office make it possible to showcase an impressive array of developmental projects across the length and breadth of the country. I do not intend to go through the long, even if interesting process of enumerating the projects the Akuffo government has undertaken since coming into office, their location, and what stage of completion they are in. Mr. Speaker, with the best will in the world, there simply will not be the time to do that, even if we spend all day here. It will be recalled that last year, during the message on the state of the nation, faced with a similar problem about road projects, I came to the House armed with a fat book that had the details of the road projects around the country, and all honorable members were given copies to go through at their own leisure. I haven't had anybody point out one. This year, we're taking things to a higher level. This government, after all, is the digitalization government. And the man who has led the entire digitalization process these past 7 years. My indefatigable Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Dr. Digitalization, the MPP's excellent presidential candidate for the 2024 election. Is coming out with what will allow everyone and everybody and anyone to check on every project being undertaken by the government without having to listen to the President's message on the state of the nation. We are calling it the Performance Tracker. You can check and satisfy yourself about the status of the projects and their location. And you could stop by and make a physical inspection if you were so minded. Mr. Speaker, if you want to check on roads, classroom blocks or chip compounds or Agenda 111 hospitals, or bridges, or science laboratories, or water projects or sanitation projects, or landing sites and harbors, and other infrastructural projects, or whatever this government use your tax money to execute, the key to your query is right there on your phone. Mr. Speaker, the Performance Tracker will be formally launched in March, and I'm offering it as the device which will help bring accountability into your hands. With the Performance Tracker, we can be sure that never again will pictures of an artist's impression be offered as projects that have been completed. I'm able to recommend the Performance Tracker in the sure knowledge that the Akuffo Addo government has done more in education in terms of student enrollment, teacher training and employment, provision of infrastructure than any government. We have similarly done more in health, agriculture, security, roads, railways, tourism, digitalization than any other government. Thanks to the Performance Tracker, the President no longer has to go through lists. And I have the confidence to say that every performance indicator used shows we have done more in these 7 years than in any of the 8 years under the National Democratic Congress. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, on coming into office 7 years ago, my government took the decision, as we promised, to modernize and formalize the economy through digitalization. In this regard, we have embarked on one of the most far-reaching Mr. Speaker, come what may, I will have my day in Hansard. I will have my day in Hansard. Come what may. Believe you me. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, on coming into office 7 years ago, my government took the decision, as we promised, to modernize and formalize the economy through digitalization. In this regard, we have embarked on one of the most far-reaching digitalization exercises in Africa, up from the figure of 900,000 which we inherited when we came into office in 2017. We have thus far enrolled 17.6 million on the Ghana card, and therefore provided unique biometric identity to the majority of Ghanaians. We've also implemented a digital property address system with unique addresses for all properties in Ghana. Furthermore, through the implementation of mobile money interoperability, we've also provided access to financial services for adult Ghanaians through mobile money accounts that are interoperable with bank accounts. Ghana is now ranked #1 in Africa in terms of access to financial inclusion. We have digitalized the provision of public services at the ports, DVLA, NHIS, GRA, births and deaths, Registrar of Companies, ECG, Ghana Water, amongst others. Ghana is ranked #1 in West Africa and #7 in Africa in e-governance. We have also implemented the use of drones in the delivery of medicines, blood, and vaccines. And Ghana currently runs the world's largest medical drone delivery service. We have also networked all teaching regional and district hospitals, and patient records can easily be accessed in these hospitals without the need for a folder. Ghana is making giant strides in the area of digitalization, thereby improving transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the public sector and accelerating the growth of our economy. We are definitely going to be part of the digital revolution that is sweeping the world. Mr. Speaker, last year when I came to the House to deliver the annual message on the state of the nation, we were in the midst of negotiations with the International Monetary Fund. We were faced with a very difficult situation and had to take a lot of unpleasant but unavoidable measures to bring stability and confidence back to the economy. These included tax measures that we did not like, but we knew we had to take in the knowledge that the medicine will be bitter but temporary. Mr. Speaker, a year ago, I also stated the decision to undertake a comprehensive debt restructuring of our domestic and external debt to ensure we remain resolute in our objective to restore macroeconomic stability and sustainable growth. The decision was not an easy one, considering the complex and diverse domestic debt landscape. We had to consider safeguarding the financial sector, preserving social and economic conditions, and protecting our domestic debt market. A year on, I'm happy to inform you, Mr. Speaker, that we have made significant progress. We requested an unprecedented number of bondholders to participate in a voluntary exchange, and we were able to exchange successfully some 203 billion cedis worth of bonds. Not only was the exchange successful, but it helped us to secure within 5 months, the shortest possible time in recent debt restructuring history, a staff-level agreement to an executive board agreement with the IMF. My gratitude goes to all financial sector players, organized labor, firms, regulatory institutions, and all individuals who made this painful exercise successful. Mr. Speaker, as you may recall, government successfully paid the first coupon of 2.3 billion cedis on the new bonds on 22nd August 2023. At the time, that was the single biggest payout of domestic payments in a single day for Ghana. We then paid 2 billion and 60 million cedis for the last leg of the domestic debt exchange on 5th September 2023. A week ago last Tuesday, on 20th February 2024, the second coupon of 5.8 billion cedis was paid to domestic bondholders. This is the largest coupon paid in a day in Ghana's history. On the external debt side, we achieved a significant milestone by reaching an agreement with our public creditors. And I'll use this occasion to express our appreciation to the Republic of France and the People's Republic of China Creditors Committee for their positive roles in this achievement. We have also intensified our engagement with our external bondholders on the principles of transparency, fair treatment, consistency with the IMF debt sustainability analysis, and good faith. We are focused and committed to accelerating the process. Mr. Speaker, we're committed to concluding the external debt restructuring process as soon as possible, so we move past the crisis. This will enable us to complete substantially projects that have been constrained due to financial challenges. In the meantime, some of the priority projects have been transferred onto the GOG budget with the same fiscal space to ensure their completion. This will enable the Kumasi International Airport, with some 98% complete, to be completed by May. Other projects like the Komfo Teaching Hospital, CATH, maternity block in Kumasi, the Takrady Interchange, the Bechebilamti Interchange in Accra, the University of Environment Sustainable Development Project at Bunso in the Eastern Region, Phase 2 of the construction of roads in Tamale, and the construction of the 84-kilometer railway line between Tema and Nakosombo would also be completed. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to announce that an alternative source of funding has also been secured for the reconstruction and completion of La Hospital project as a fully functional modern hospital with the necessary equipment for diagnosis and treatment. The contractor has been paid an advance mobilization of 15%, representing some 7.5 million United States dollars, and work has begun. The project commenced effectively in January this year and will be completed in 28 months. Mr. Speaker, it is important to underline that the recent change in the leadership of the Finance Ministry will not affect government's determined commitment to implementing the terms agreed with the IMF to ensure that we restore the economy to healthy growth as soon as possible. Indeed, the macro economy was much stronger at the end of 2023 than in 2022. Inflation, which peaked at 54.4% in December 2022, has reduced to 23.5% in January 2025. Real GDP growth for the first 3 quarters of 2023 averaged 2.8%, higher than the targeted growth rate of 1.5% for 2023. The cedi has been largely stable since February 2023, with a cumulative depreciation of 9% between February and December 2023. Gross international reserves reflected a significant buildup of over 5.9 billion United States dollars, enough to cover 2.7 months of import of goods and services. The current account turned positive at 1.4% of GDP at the end of September 2023, from negative 2.1% at the end of December 2022. Generally, the macroeconomic indicators are once again all pointing in the right direction. I should point out that in all our discussions with the fund, a paramount consideration has been to ensure that the poor and vulnerable do not bear the brunt of the sacrifices that have to be made. Programs like LEAP, school feeding and capitation grant have been protected and indeed enhanced. Mr. Speaker, right from the start of this government coming into office, we have sought to place the maximum effort on the education and training of the youth as the base for building the prosperous nation we seek. A foreign statesman once posed the question, and I quote, "Why am I the first member of my parliament in 1,000 generations to have gone to the university?" Unquote. In the past 7 years, I've met many people, young and old, across the country who have told me about the first person in their families, in their communities, to have gone to senior high school. They might well ask the question, why are they the first boy or girl in their family to have gone to senior high school? The answer is not far-fetched. Not being able to go to secondary school for lack of money was so widespread an accepted phenomenon that it led to some people thinking senior high school was not meant for them or their children or for people from their village. And therefore, a child in the family finishing junior school and moving on to senior high school was simply not factored in their expectations. Mr. Speaker, free SHS might be labeled by its detractors as a mere political slogan that must be demonized. But it is in fact a transformative program that has broken myths and liberated minds. It is humbling on one hand and frightening on the other to think of the sheer number of talents the free SHS has unearthed that would otherwise have ended their formal education at BECE. I know we will get more engineers, doctors, architects, scientists, writers, and poets out of the increased numbers of those attending senior high school who will go into further education. Even if they stop at high school, at senior high school, imagine what 1 million more secondary school educated young people will do to our self-confidence and the value of our workforce. That alone makes free SHS worthwhile. I'm proud that the MPP government under my leadership has been able to bring this transformative policy into our education system. Mr. Speaker, I believe the success of the free SHS policy has answered its critics, and the arguments about it should cease, and we should simply concentrate on finding ways to improve it. I'm particularly glad that the fears about lowering of standards have been allayed. Refreshingly, we witnessed through the 2023 batch of free SHS students the best waxing results in over a decade. Mr. Speaker, there's more to education than free SHS, and government has been paying equal attention to all the other sectors. Kindergarten, primary school, and junior high school must work together to give a solid foundation and strengthen the free SHS policy. The implementation of various programs, such as the capitation grant, feeding grants to special schools, BEC registration for pupils in public junior high schools, among others, have significantly increased access to education at the basic level. The focus of the comprehensive reforms within the sector has been to improve learning outcomes and ensure every child that goes through our education system is equipped with literacy and numeracy skills by the time they exit primary 6. A national standardized test for numeracy and reading skills is now being conducted at primary 4. Fortunately, quite a number of children still manage to slip out of the net and miss going to school altogether or drop out at primary school. The Ministry of Education partnered with key development allies to launch an innovative financing program called the Ghana Educational Outcome Project, GEOP. The goal of GEOP is to provide educational support to 72,000 out-of-school children, helping them access complementary education and transition into formal schools. I'm happy to report that 17,340 out-of-school children have been taken through the program and mainstreamed into formal schools in 2023. This program has worked so well, it won the GovTech Prize Award in February 2024 at the World Government Summit held in Dubai. Government has remained committed to improving the teaching and learning of STEM education at the pre-tertiary level. Key interventions have included increasing our ability to produce STEM professionals and also meeting 21st century skills. Accordingly, the curriculum has been overhauled to include STEM career pathways such as aviation and aerospace science, biomedical science, engineering, computer science, manufacturing, robotics, and artificial intelligence. Government has also increased its investment in infrastructure for science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, STEM education at the pre-tertiary level. The construction of 10 STEM schools and 10 STEM centers has commenced across the country, with 7 STEM model schools having been operationalized. These schools have been equipped with state-of-the-art laboratories and classrooms, dormitories, assembly halls, dining halls, and conducive environments to foster teaching and learning. The operationalized schools have a total enrollment at present of 2,400 students reading general science and STEM. Mr. Speaker, in recognizing the critical role of technical and universal and vocational education and training in the country's industrialization agenda, the government continued implementing key reforms in the TVET space, including the expansion of the free senior high school program to include students in public TVET institutes. Mr. Speaker, a lot of resources has gone into the provision of infrastructure at all levels of the educational system, but a lot remains to be done. Many basic schools require more adequate classrooms and furniture, and the environment in some of these schools can be made more suitable for learning and teaching. Some of the senior high schools, especially the community schools recently absorbed into the formal GES structure, lack the facilities that these established schools take for granted. We must all express our gratitude to the teachers in such schools who manage, in spite of the difficulties, to bring out the best in their students and sometimes succeed in achieving great results. They exemplify the best in the Ghanaian and give us hope for the future. Indeed, the one tablet per student policy at the senior high school level is being rolled out and will formally be launched by next month. It is a great tool to help bridge the gap between disadvantaged and privileged students. Mr. Speaker, free SHS and our no guarantor policy under the Student Loan Trust Fund are breaking down financial barriers for students seeking higher education by eliminating the requirement for a guarantor. We have empowered students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds to pursue their education aspirations without undue financial burden. This has meant a substantial increase in the number of students seeking tertiary education. And it is in response to this increase, the government has decided to establish 4 new universities in Mampong in the Ashanti region, Akrodia in the Bono region, Bonsu in the eastern region, and Kintapo in the Bono East region, and expand the facilities in existing ones. We are pursuing interventions towards achieving by 2030 the 40% gross tertiary enrollment ratio, up from the current level of 18.8%, as well as the 60-40 science to humanities ratio from the current one of 40 to 60, as captured in the Education Strategic Plan of 2018 to 2030. Mr. Speaker, between 2012 and early 2017, there was nothing more demoralizing than the phenomenon we called doomsday. It was symptomatic of a dysfunctional system, and it caused widespread depression amongst businesses and households. After that experience, my government was determined that doomsday would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. Shouts will not wish doomsday away in our history. It will not. After that experience, my government was determined that doomsday would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. And I'm glad to be able to say, so far, so good. We've managed to keep the lights on these last 7 years, even in the midst of a financial crisis. We've managed the NFT sector with discipline and expertise to avoid a repetition of the hardships inflicted on Ghanaians some years ago. Furthermore, through determined, skillful negotiation, we have been able to reduce considerably the energy sector debt that we inherited. Indeed, the government negotiating team carried out a successful reconciliation exercise with the IPPs and ECG, which established that the IPP arrears position was not the $1.6 billion that had been previously reported in the media, but was actually $1.2 billion. That is savings of some $400 million. Additionally, the government negotiating team has reached commercial agreements on headline terms for the restructuring of power purchase agreements and arrears with AXA, Amandi, SenPower, Senate, and Early Power, and is finalizing remaining definitive documentation of such terms, which will result in total expected savings in excess of $9.1 billion over the lifespan of the IPP projects. In the meantime, ECG has been able to secure a fixed monthly energy purchase price with all the IPPs. This has led to a monthly payment of 43 million United States dollars instead of the 77 million United States dollars. That is monthly savings of $34 million, or a 44% reduction in monthly payments, a far better outcome than the take-or-pay system we inherited. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to report that we're making admirable progress in the provision of electricity to all parts of the country. Last year, 207 communities were connected to the grid, taking the current national access rate, electricity access rate, to 88.85%. We are aiming to achieve universal access this year by connecting an additional 400 communities to the national grid under the self-help electrification program and other 10 key projects. As part of efforts to improve power system reliability in the middle and northern parts of Ghana, government took a decision to relocate the 250 megawatt Mary plant from Abuazi to Anwamaso in Kumasi. The Volta River Authority successfully relocated 6 units of the Mary plant with capacity of 150 megawatts, which are currently being tested and commissioned in Kumasi. The authority is taking steps to relocate the remaining 4 units before the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, we're also making steady progress in our commitment to increase the component of renewable energy to our energy generation mix. A 4 megawatt floating solar PV on the Bui Reservoir, as well as the 15 megawatt solar PV at Kaleo, have been completed and both are operational. They have contributed to increasing our share of solar energy in the generation mix to 3.2%. A 100 megawatt solar PV is under construction at Bui, as is the mini-grid electrification program ongoing in the Addo East District, all of which will help us attain our target of 10% renewable energy in our generation mix by 2030. Mr. Speaker, furthermore, we have committed ourselves to the development of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. As I indicated at the U.S.-Africa Nuclear Energy Summit and the International Framework for Nuclear Energy Cooperation Ministerial Conference held in Accra in November last year, the first of its kind in Africa, our energy transition plan envisages 30% of our electricity production to be from nuclear energy by 2070, which is the core mandate of the Ghana Nuclear Power Program Organization, GNPPO, an entity under the office of the President. This strong commitment and position are geared towards the provision of clean and affordable electricity to drive our industrialization agenda. It is also meant to position Ghana as a net power exporter in the ECOWAS region through the West African Power Pool. Mr. Speaker, we have also succeeded in having the Secretariat of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, CVF, an intergovernmental forum of 58 of the most climate vulnerable countries, representing some 1.4 billion people located in Accra. Mr. Speaker, we have all heard about the Gold for Oil program. It has been explained, debated, and talked about. At this moment, all I want to say about it is that the Gold for Oil program has worked well and reduced significantly forex pressures on bulk energy storage, transportation, and bulk imports. Distribution and exports enable them to negotiate more competitive premiums with suppliers. Premiums dropped from $180 to $200 per metric ton to $70 per metric ton or less. This also resulted in reduced and stabilized prices at the pumps of between 12 to 13 cedis per liter for the whole of 2023. We're taking steps to rectify some of the handicaps that have limited the full participation of Ghanaians in the oil and gas industry. For years, the well-paid jobs in the industry were taken exclusively by foreign nationals because we did not have people qualified in these fields. Last year, 150 young Ghanaians were trained and certified as mechanical maintenance technicians, electrical technicians, instrumentalists, and production process technicians up to the industry standards. Additionally, 5 young Ghanaians underwent a 10-month welding inspector training program at the North Alberta Institute of Technology in Canada. They have since been placed in various technical institutions in Ghana as instructors. Ghanaians will soon fill the well-paid positions on our oil fields because we have the trained and qualified personnel. Things are looking up. Mr. Speaker, it is quite likely that the most talked about subject in our country is roads and highways. When I appeared in the House last year, as I said earlier, I took the extraordinary step of coming with a fact book that detailed all the works that the government had done and was doing on roads since coming to office in 2017. I believe it was generally agreed that it was impressive, but it was not enough to satisfy everyone. Well, the work continues, even though some of the major road works have been temporarily interrupted as a result of the debt negotiation. As I said earlier, all the details will be available on the performance tracker. Other modes of movement around the country are being built and upgraded to open up the country and make travel easier. Mr. Speaker, the new standard gauge railway line from the port of Tema to Mapakadai in the Asurjaman district, of the Eastern region, covering a distance of some 100 kilometers, is at the final stage of completion. By the middle of the year, the line will be commissioned for operations to commence with brand new standard gauge diesel multiple unit trains of their kind to be used in our country. It is worth mentioning that a rail bridge is being built across the Volta as part of this railway line. I have no doubt it will attract a lot of interest. I'm a great believer in the importance of aesthetics as much as the practical, and that is why I encourage the constructors to construct the railway bridge, which was not a part of the original contract, across the Volta to make the journey more scenic. Nearly made me choke on my glass of water. Extraordinary statement to make. The development is on course of a new standard gauge Western Railway line to serve passengers, the mining sector, as well as support industrialization to boost the development and growth of this nation. The plans for the extension of the railway line to Paga might not materialize during the rest of my administration, but I'm sure they will not be abandoned. Mr. Speaker, there's no argument that food self-sufficiency is the basic requirement for national security and the foundation for building a prosperous nation. Last year, government reviewed the Planting for Food and Jobs, PFJ program, which had been implemented since 2019. Based on lessons learned, government developed and launched under the dynamic leadership of the new Minister for Food and Agriculture, everybody who knows me knows I don't drink alcohol. Last year, government reduced the Planting for Food and Jobs program, which have been implemented since 2017. Based on lessons learned, government developed and launched under the dynamic leadership of the new Minister for Food and Agriculture, the second phase of the PFJ. The second phase of the PFJ sets out a 5-year agenda to ensure food self-sufficiency and resilience. Strategic targets have been set for 11 priority products in the immediate term, December 2023. Short term, year 2024. Medium term, 2025-2026. And the long term, 2026-2028. The selected products are maize, rice, soybean, sorghum, tomato, pepper, onion, cassava, yam, plantain, and poultry. So I'm happy to report the production estimates for these priority products reveal that the planned targets for the year have been exceeded for all the products except poultry. Poultry obviously requires extra attention. And that is exactly what we're doing. We have every intention of meeting the domestic production targets for poultry this year, 2024, and moving on to production levels that will lead to reduction in poultry imports. We envisage a vigorous cooperation between government and the private sector to achieve the set target. Mr. Speaker, the surest way of making agriculture attractive to young people is to take the drudgery out of farming. And government is continuing to make agricultural machinery and equipment easily available. Under the third and final tranche of the Brazil More Food program, tractors with accompanying implements, power tillers and with accessories, maize shellers, units of combined pharmacists, and rice have been distributed to farmers, protesters, processors, and mechanization service providers on hire purchase agreement. This year, under the Indian Exim facility, tractors with matching implements, planters, boom sprayers, combine harvesters, and corn pickers will also be made available. Mr. Speaker, having determined that large-scale commercial farming is the easiest way to achieve our set goal of food self-sufficiency, government under the second phase of the PFJ will establish agricultural zones as a complementary initiative to address the issue of access to large tracts of agricultural land, to drive sustainable and commercially oriented agriculture. This will significantly expand Ghana's productive capacity in products such as rice, soybean, maize, and tomato. Indeed, between 2021 and 2023, rice imports fell by some 45%. In 2021, rice imports amounted to 805,000 metric tons. In 2022, 650,000 metric tons. And in 2023, 450,000 metric tons. This healthy trajectory will continue until we achieve full sufficiency in rice production. For each agricultural zone, government will partner with the private sector to provide the necessary irrigation infrastructure, develop access roads, expand power, solar and hydro, and provide mechanization services. Various locations across the country with potential to be food baskets have been identified for the establishment of the agricultural zones. They include the Afram Plains, Chopoli, Kumowu, Kratchi, and Nkranza, amongst others. Mr. Speaker, we all witnessed a spectacular increment of the cocoa price from 800 cedis per bag to 1,300 cedis. in the to 1,300 cedis per bag in the current cocoa season, the highest increase in 50 years. With the current trend of the world cocoa price, cocoa farmers can be sure that I will do right by them in the next cocoa season. Mr. Speaker, government has begun the development of 7,100 hectares irrigation infrastructure in 5 identified economic enclaves within the Afran Plains agricultural zone. Work is also continuing towards the completion of the Temne Phase 3 extension and via irrigation schemes. This will make additional 1,150 acres of irrigable land available for cultivation of rice and vegetables. The Ghana Irrigation Development Authority will continue with the development of small earth dams in the northern, upper east, upper west, northeast, and savannah regions to support the One Village, One Dam initiative. Whilst at it, Mr. Speaker, we have not forgotten about the well-being of our fisher folk. My government has completed the construction of 12 coastal fish landing sites at Axim and Discove in the western region, Moray, Mountford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomwafete, Otuam, and Infansiman in the central region, Tessie and Osu in the greater Accra region, and Kita in the Volta region. Additionally, I had the pleasure in May last year of commissioning the newly constructed Elmina Fishing Harbor in the central region, much against the hopes of the naysayers. And God willing, soon this year, I will also commission the Jamestown Fishing Harbor, which currently stands at 88% complete and is expected to be ready by August 2024. Mr. Speaker, to help address the incidence of premixed fuel diversion and hoarding, government last year completed the installation of 50 out of the 300 premixed fuel automated dispenser. My expectation is that the remaining automated dispensers will be installed by September this year to help optimize the distribution of premixed fuel. Government will continue to take decisive actions, such as the close season, to help safeguard the ocean's capacity to regenerate and to continue to deliver substantial economic, environmental, and social value for our development. Mr. Speaker, last year, Ghana regained her position as the leading producer of gold in Africa, having overtaken South Africa. Our gold production reached an unprecedented 4 million ounces, according to preliminary reports. This is as a result of the progressive policies we have been implementing, which have led to the revival of dormant mines like the Obuasi and Ribiani mines and the expansion of existing ones. The reduction in withholding tax on unprocessed gold by small-scale miners from 3% to 1.5% has resulted in some 900% increment in gold export from the small sector over the last 2 years. Leveraging on these resources, we introduced the innovative gold for oil policy, which accounts for some 30% of our total crude oil consumption. Currently, 3 large-scale mines are under construction in Akuffo, Upper East and Upper West regions, with Cardinal Namdini set to pour its first gold in the Upper East region in the last quarter of this year. With these new nines, our gold production is expected to increase to some 4.5 million ounces annually. Mr. Speaker, to add value to these volumes of production, we have constructed through a public-private partnership a 400-kilogram capacity gold refinery, and we're in the final stages of negotiations for a London Bullion Market Association certificate. For our green minerals, including lithium, we've put in place a policy for their exploitation and management to ensure beneficiation across the value chain of these critical minerals. The Speaker, as it has been widely reported, Newman Corporation, the world's largest gold-producing company, which operates 2 huge mines in our country and is constructing a third, has announced its intention to sell its Achim mine in the eastern region, the 3rd largest mine in the country, which produced some 420,000 ounces of gold in 2022. As part of government's policy to modernize the mining sector, to indigenize the mining sector, we will engage with Newmont to give priority to Ghanaian investors who will want to acquire this mine, to ensure that our mineral resources better benefit the Ghanaian people. The Speaker, we continue to work to ensure the protection of our forests and wildlife resources while reclaiming degraded forests. Some 42 million trees have been planted over the last 3 years under the Green Ghana project, and some 690,000 hectares of degraded forests have been cultivated between 2017 and 2022 under the Ghana Forest Plantation Strategy. Mr. Speaker, the main cornerstone of our move towards the industrial transformation of Ghana is the One District, One Factory policy, this government's iconic flagship initiative. It demonstrates how government can stimulate and incentivize the private sector to expand and diversify manufacturing across the country by harnessing locally available raw materials. It is significant to note that within the relatively short span of 6 years, government has directly intervened to stimulate interest in and support many private sector business promoters to make significant investments in manufacturing under the One District, One Factory program. Mr. Speaker, this has led to the development of 321 IDF 1D1F projects consisting of 211 new medium to large-scale factories and the conscious enabling of 110 existing companies to inject significant capital investments into the expansion of production facilities and diversification of products. These business promoters have so far invested in 142 districts across the country, across all 16 regions, and achieving 54% district coverage. The aspiration is to bring a 1D1F project to every district. Speaker, within this period, some 170,000 jobs have been created under the novel ID 1D1F program by companies in operation. The Speaker, government approved a number of incentives, including duty exemptions to support the implementation of the 1D1F program. In 2019 and 2020, 37 1D1F companies were granted exemptions approval by this august House. However, from 2021 to date, no exemptions have been granted. Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to and approve all the outstanding exemption applications as a matter of urgency. to send positive signals to the business community. The exemptions law that you have passed provides for such exemptions under existing laws. To speak of the other initiative aimed at stimulating industrial growth that we have been actively promoting is automotive assembly and component manufacturing. It is universally recognized as a key strategic sector for stimulating industrial transformation. The comprehensive automotive development policy launched by government in August 2019 has undoubtedly been the case that has attracted a record number of 12 original equipment manufacturers, including Volkswagen, Toyota, Suzuki, Nissan, Peugeot, Kia, Hyundai, Honda, to set up assembly plants and produce a range of models here in Ghana. The Speaker, it is noteworthy that these investments have been accompanied with complementary initiatives to build the necessary engineering and technical skills in Ghana. Toyota Ghana has partnered the School of Engineering Sciences of the University of Ghana to establish and operate a modern auto engineering training center for engineering students and the industry to acquire applied auto engineering training. Similarly, Kia Motor Company of Korea has upgraded the Rana Motors West African vehicle assembly with state-of-the-art equipment for training of auto repair and maintenance technicians, including repair and maintenance of electric vehicles. Mr. Speaker, to spur on industrialization, we're implementing the 4-project agenda of the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation GIADEC, with projects 1 and 2 having already taken off. And last month, we signed an agreement for the implementation of Project 3. Mr. Speaker, we will lay before this August House, at this first meeting of this session of Parliament, a legislative instrument to prohibit the export of bauxite in its raw state. We're also in the concluding phase of discussions for the establishment of a 450 million United dollar refinery to refine the manganese we produce. Speaker, we have all long acknowledged the trade between African countries must increase if we are to make any headway with our dreams of prosperity on the continent. I'm happy to report that the setting up of the AFCFTA with Seed, an initiative which seeks to improve coverage the base of the SNID scheme. Since the launch of the SNID initiative, some 600,000 self-employed persons have been enrolled onto the program and now have some form of social security cover. Effective 1st January 2024, all pensioners on the SNP pension payroll as of 31st December 2023 have had their monthly pensions increased by 15%. This translates to 10.05% of effective increase for the highest earning pensioners and 36.37% effective increase for the lowest earning pensioners. The 15% indexation rate will result in an additional expenditure of 697 million cedis. The total benefit expenditure for government under the SNP scheme alone is projected to increase from 5.4 in 2023 to 7 billion cedis in 2024. Mr. Speaker, I believe we can say with certainty that in the tourism sector, Ghana is finally realizing her long-promised potential. Starting from the events and excitement of the year of return in 2019, Ghana has truly become an attractive tourist destination, with visitors' numbers increasing every year. December in GH is now an established and increasingly attractive phenomenon, which brings visitors to our country in the month of December and has changed the events calendar around the Christmas holiday season in Accra and many other towns. Mr. Speaker, for the first time since the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park was constructed in 1992, government has undertaken a full modernization rehabilitation of the city. Since the commissioning of the modernized park in July 2023, the number of domestic and international visitors has risen dramatically. A national newspaper reporting on activities at the revamped park had a screaming headline which said, "Akuffo Addo resurrects Nkrumah." That gave me pause for a moment. But on reflection, I decided I would accept it, be it a compliment or criticism or an addition to the collection of sayings by elders. Whatever it is, since the commissioning, there have been 208,557 domestic and international visitors to the park between 14th July and 31st December 2023. Speaker, compare that, if you may, performance until then, which was in the year of return in 2019, when there were 126,190 visitors in the year. Other facilities are being upgraded, and it's good to know that the private sector is showing interest in getting into the development of tourist attractive sites. Mr. Speaker, the National Museum Gallery, which had been closed down since 2015, has also been fully refurbished. It attracted over 35 visitors in 2023, and I'm particularly pleased the school children form a good part of the visitors to these sites. The first ever Kente Museum, aimed at preserving the cultural heritage in Ghana, has been built at Bunre in the Ashanti region and was recently commissioned by the Second Lady. Preparatory works and designs for the construction of the Heroes Park, a museum to commemorate the founding of Ghana, the Big Six, J.B. Dankwa, Emmanuel Obeche Bilamche, Edward Akuffo Addo, Ebenezer Akwaje, William Uforiacha, Kwame Nkrumah, were completed in December 2023, and construction will commence very soon. Mr. Speaker, government through the National Film Authority is committed to supporting the production of world-class content and films, as well as increasing the cinema infrastructure in Ghana and by extension on the continent. To this end, a favorable fiscal tax regime for cinema projects, including income tax and VAT incentives, import duty exemptions on film production equipment, 20% tax rebate for strategic film productions and film financing reliefs, is being elaborated by cabinet, which will be outlawed very soon and should provide another tangible reason for the choice of Ghana as a film production country. Mr. Speaker, in line with government's commitment to ensure gender equality, the revised National Gender Policy and the Affirmative Action Bill were approved by Cabinet in October 2023. The Affirmative Action Bill is currently before Parliament for consideration and approval, and we count on the support of members of Parliament for speedy passage of the bill. The Ghana Enterprise Agency, GEA, is implementing an Only Women support program where micro, small, and medium enterprises owned by women with the potential of scaling up their operations, increasing sales, and creating sustainable jobs will receive liquidity support. The GEA is also implementing the Youth Start program, a youth empowerment program which recently dispersed 100 million cedis to some 3,000 youth beneficiaries to upscale their businesses. Mr. Speaker, we're also implementing some interventions directed at providing support for persons with disabilities. In June last year, a significant boost was given to micro, small, and medium enterprises owned by persons with disabilities when government launched a 12 million CD PWD Enterprise Support Program. This grant support program, under the Ghana Transformative Project, is being funded with the support of the World Bank. Again, the Youth Employment Agency has initiated a groundbreaking employment drive targeting 282 persons with disabilities who used to work at poll booths. Speaker, let me now turn to football, a sport that is dear to the hearts of all Ghanaians. I'm sure I disclose no state secret if I state that I am myself an ardent football enthusiast and once played in the University of Ghana team with my friend, the late President John Evans Atta Mills, Fifi to me. Throughout the years, the national team, the Black Stars, has held a special place in the affection of Ghanaians. They lifted up our spirits as they dominated Africa and won 4 continental trophies. They have at other times broken our hearts, but it was not until 2006 that the Black Stars finally broke through to the world stage when they qualified for the World Cup for the first time. You will remember that we rose up as one in our support, and they did not disappoint. Then came the spectacular South Africa 2010 World Cup and its drama, when we almost became the first African side in the semi-finals of the World Cup. It is fair to say that since the sad events of Brazil 2014, many Ghanaians have been left disappointed by some of the recent results of the Black Stars. Their various attempts have been made to revive the fortunes of the national team and rebuild the enthusiasm of the people with varying degrees of success. The recent AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire was probably the nadir of the performance of Black Stars and has left the nation saddened. However, I am quite certain that the young men and the technical handlers would themselves have wanted to make our nation proud. And I believe that the captain, Andre Dede Ayew, meant every word when he rendered heartfelt apologies on behalf of his teammates to all Ghanaians for the team's early exit. Speaker, I believe it is time for us to take a long-term, fast-sighted approach to correct what has gone wrong. It is time to return to scouting, grooming, and developing talent at the grassroots level under a presidential policy on football that I intend to unveil very soon. The School Sports Department of the Ministry of Education will work hand in hand with the Ministry of Youth and Sports in collaboration and synergy with the Ghana Football Association to build district, regional, and national juvenile teams for both girls and boys. The more than 150 AstroTurf pitches constructed throughout the country under this administration provide the foundational facilities to make a start as we strive to provide more of them. We should see a steady progression of talent up the ladder from the junior juvenile teams to the senior sides based on merit and nothing else. A similar approach has been tried before under the 5-year by the late Ben Kofi, initiated under the MPP administration of President J. Akuffo. It was under this plan that talents such as Michael Essien, Sule Muntari, John Mensah, Derek Boateng, and later Asamoah Gyan and Stephen Appiah were discovered and nurtured. The results became evident to us and the world. It takes time, dedication, and patience. We cannot harvest where we have not planted and irrigated. I have no doubt at all that the Black Stars will rise and make us proud again. Mr. Speaker, the senior women's team, the Black Queens, who do not get half the attention the Black Stars get, have been performing quite creditably. They had gone for 10 matches without any loss until last December, and then when they lost narrowly to Namibia in the qualifying ground for the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations. Even though they went to Zambia in the first leg of the qualifiers for the 2024 Olympic Games, let us wish them well in the second leg to be played in Lusaka tomorrow. I hope they give us something to cheer about. Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to report that all the preparations are ready for Ghana to welcome sportsmen and women from around the continent to participate in the 13th edition of the African Games. It seems incredible, but this is the first time that Ghana will be hosting these games. It's taken a lot of courage to have persisted with the decision to host the games, especially when our financial problem came in the midst of the preparations. But I am glad we went ahead. The preparations are all complete, and I was excited and very pleased with what I saw at Botima when I went to commission the Games Village some 2 weeks ago. We have high-class sporting facilities which should serve us well long after the Games are over. Some of the events will take place at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. It is worth noting that this is a facility started under former President J. Akuffo and was abandoned by successor governments. I'm extremely proud that this project has been finished under my stewardship, not just because of the Games, but also because it has taken 75 years of existence for Legon, Ghana's premier university, to have a sports stadium. I urge all Ghanaians to make our visitors welcome and to patronize the Games and cheer on the participants. Mr. Speaker, this is the 7th time that I've appeared before this House as President to give an accounting of the state of our nation. Luckily for me, I know my way around the place. Having spent 12 memorable years here, and therefore, even on the few occasions the sections of the House did not want to make me welcome, I was still able to manage. I have one more scheduled date with the House when I will be here to give an accounting of my time in office. By that time, my successor would have been elected. And we will be getting ready for the swearing-in ceremony. The elections will be held peacefully, and the candidate with credibility to take us on to a higher level will win. Let me wish all of us well in the elections on 7th December. Before then, a number of important tasks lie ahead of us, one of which will be commissioning the Nana Adjumani Prempeh I International Airport in Kumasi, and naming the recently commissioned airport in Tamale, the Yakubu International Airport of Tamale. Mr. Speaker, we stumbled, but we are rising again. We were bruised, but we are healing. We have recovered our footing. We have dusted ourselves off, and now we face tomorrow with confidence. Every day we pray and hope that adversity may spare our families, our communities, and our dear nation. But should we be confronted by misfortune, we must face it like people with a proud history who fight and do not flee. Yenim kon, yenim jane. That is the Ghanaian spirit. That is our armor and our shield. This is our ethos. Let us believe in Ghana. I believe in Ghana. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
It's failing as well. No, you do.
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, I think it's proper and right for us to offer to our revered, distinguished guests for the delay in the commencement of today's proceedings. We have, and we owe it as a duty to let Ghanaians know and our audience why today there was a delay in the commencement of proceedings. And I would want to, on your behalf, also apologize to them for that delay. It was due to circumstances beyond our control. Honourable members, we were compelled to attend to some debilitating constraints to the House, and that kept us an hour behind schedule, and I want to apologize for that delay. Honorable members, we also, in acknowledging the presence of the dignitaries here in the House, failed to mention some very important statesmen who are with us today. And it's proper that we acknowledge their presence. We have with us Dr. Hassan Ayariga, founder of All People's Congress. We also have in our midst Mr. Ivor Kobina Greenstreet, who, as you all know, is a former Convention People's Party flag bearer. We also have the leader of the Liberty Party in the person of Mr. Kofi Akpaloo. Honorable members, the last but not the least is the Honorable David Apasera, who, as you know, was the chairman of the People's National Convention. They are all here with us. We apologize for the oversight, but as we say, Sankofa is permitted, and we have done that. Honorable members, honorable members, the Speaker is very vigilant. And as I mentioned earlier on, the ability to catch the eye of the Speaker includes good behavior. And if for 4 years you are here and you are not able to catch the eye of the Speaker, I'm sure the good people of your constituency will not accept you again. So please, kindly abide by the code of conduct which you yourselves approved here on the floor of the House. With this, I want to, in accordance with Standing Order 72-4, convey to His Excellency, the President, the gratitude of the House for the address. Honorable members, again, in accordance with the practice of this House, a formal communication will be forwarded to His Excellency the President after the House has thoroughly debated this address. I want to thank all of you for your cooperation, but to emphasize that Ghana is out. Actually, we are down, but not out. And Ghana will rise again. Honorable members, on this note, honorable members, I want to call on the majority leader to indicate the nature of the business on the floor. I don't want to go direct to tell him that this is an indication for him to move for an adjournment of the session. I say I don't want to.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker,
and considering the optimism with which Mr. President has spoken to the nation. Mr. Speaker, you were right, and Mr. President himself acknowledged that considering the situation we find ourselves, we are down, but we rise again under the able leadership he is providing and the future which is assured. Mr. Speaker, we are, by the practice of this House, ready to debate Mr. President's message. Considering the situation we find ourselves as a country, Mr. Speaker, we are ready to debate this message now. However, Mr. Speaker, as has been the practice, members would want to prepare. And I noticed that the minority leader was jotting down a lot of notes. I need to remind him that I have with me the 2014, 2013, and the 2016 State of the Nation Address. And all of these were full of lamentations. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know what he was actually jotting down. But if it was a debate he was preparing for, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure him that we will face him with this optimism and remind him of the lamentations of 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall pray that this House be adjourned to tomorrow at 10 in the forenoon or soon thereafter. Mr. Speaker, I so move, and I urge my colleague to second the motion. That is a practice. He should second. He should just second. Today is not for debate. Mr. Speaker, fortunately for me, my mentor and coach is still available. I'll still take tutorials. Yes, indeed. Yes, that is true. There was a smooth transition. There was a smooth transition. We had a smooth transition. We had a smooth transition. We had a smooth transition. Mr. Speaker, I am encouraging Dr. Foster to only second this motion. The rules of the House are very clear. It shouldn't go outside of the rules. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Akuffo, please second the motion and let's adjourn.
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members. Yes, minority leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Let me, on behalf of the NDC minority, thank His Excellency the President for his message on the state of our nation. But, Mr. Speaker, the unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Mr. Speaker, the Hansard will record me today. Mr. Speaker, the unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Yet, we did not hear a word from our president on this matter. Mr. Speaker, out of 33 million population, only 11.3 million are employed. This number includes peasant farmers. Mr. Speaker,